We are ready.
All right, time being 4:30, we will open this meeting of October 1st. Let the record show that Selectman Scanlon is not present, but he is on his way. At this time, I'd like to enter into a motion to enter into non-public as per RSA 91A:3, that which discussed in public would adversely affect the reputation.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Joyce is going to get it. Got it.
The time being 5:16, I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as they may affect the reputation of a resident permanently.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Certainly.
Aye.
One thing, did we, I know we talked about it, did we make it clear that there should be a letter of explanation why we've altered that agreement?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Our screen, our projections.
Remind me when the chief comes in. We got 150 patches we bought.
Chief is not going to accompany us tonight.
Is someone from the department?
I think there's numerous.
Well,
What
we'll
time is
ask
the
them.
meeting? What time is the meeting with the DOT on eliminating the lights on the October 15th?
1 PM.
Eliminating what lights?
Heck.
Streetlights, they're gonna,
Oh.
they got a
the
proposal
one.
to eliminate some of
Who use? Does your truck have decals?
Gotta get one for the,
I was gonna say, I didn't see one on the passenger door just now.
Come on up, John.
fixed it, repaired it.
We're ready. We're ready for you.
Okay. I got you now. I hear you had a good evening. I hear you had a good evening last night.
It was good, actually, believe it or not.
Late, wasn't it?
At a health officers conference, so I'll just leave that early.
Okay.
So, we're getting around?
Well, saw Melanie today at the school.
Oh.
All right, we're going to push to move right along with
Yeah, Pat's been slacking, so we gotta make up time. Right, Joe?
All right.
She's got the hammer.
Gonna use it on us in a minute.
Won't be the first time.
Thank you.
I don't have a whole lot, so,
So we can make up time.
Yeah.
and I'll try to breeze through it.
Wow.
Wow, we killed a tree for that.
Could it be a little bit bigger? I mean...
I was gonna say,
we got a
next time,
magnifying
can we do strips?
Computer to go a little bit bigger.
Can we do strips instead? We could've got us all on one. All right,
Just cut strips.
Yes.
what, are you getting the chew out? She's got a chew.
Nice.
We gotta get her a spittoon to sit on.
I have one.
I'm thinking that you should be more specific. This is
I do.
arcade, buddy.
See it? I use it for my garbage. You thought I was kidding, didn't you?
Oh,
I don't generate
you
a lot
went
of
crazy.
trash.
Replenishing the supply. No, salt.
This is good.
Yeah, actually, I was, for the storm that we had yesterday, I was, pleasantly surprised.
Well, we only got 6 inches, you got 7 in Zamberton, so you got
Well,
more.
even still, 6 inches in that short time is a lot of water. No, the roads and everything held up pretty good. We've been working up on Westwood, so I expected with that much water that we were gonna have some issues there, which we did. Other than that, it was just normal day-to-day stuff, like just turning the water back into the ditch and all that to keep it from washing the sides out. It was really good. PD called me just as I was about to get home last night, and we had a tree that came down on Ridge Road. It was a dead tree. So I actually caught Larry before he got home. He went up, checked it out, and just kicked it off the side of the road. It was all open. So that worked out well. That was it for the storm, unless you guys have any questions. I did find out that Brook Road It's a state road.
State road. We maintain it in the winter.
We plow it in the winter.
Did you, have you checked any of the culverts, like at, and it's a state road, but we should know, on in the Gulf area of Lancaster Hill Road? Bamford was running down through there at an amazing rate.
The what was running down through there?
Bamford Brook.
In one of your gullies on
Oh, you mean
Lancaster.
right up in the hill? Yeah, I looked at that. That was, coming through there very fast.
Right, so I'm
But
wondering what it is. I don't think it's a box culvert. I don't think I think it's just a
culvert.
corrugated culvert.
Yeah, I believe, just
So I'm
looking at the way
wondering-
the water came out, it looked like a corrugated culvert to me.
I'm just wondering if it did any damage or erosion around the culvert.
I can take a look at it. I don't know that there was, because I didn't get out and look at it, but I can take a look at it and make sure. The one culvert that was concerning yesterday for us was the one over here by La Chance's and the old
Yeah.
water department building.
The sluice way.
Sluice way.
How's that doing?
Hacker Brook.
That was about all the water it could take. Any more, and it would have probably
Right
started
up to
coming
the
over.
top.
So.
Oh, they're all flushed.
I mean, there was a little bit of wood there, and I worked it, and it just came undone. But that was just caught between the, I assume, sewer pipe or water pipe and the top. And it came undone and just went on through. So it was clear, it was just taking all it could take.
Our boxes took it nicely up on Pine and High.
Your boxes took it nice?
Box culverts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I checked that all the way up through, and there was really nothing obstructing anything. It was all running smooth, and for the amount of water that it was coming down.
When did the lake on Manville Road dissipate?
Before I got home, because I was going to bring my kayak out, but it was too late.
It was over the road.
Well, it's always over the road.
Both sides. It was,
Well, it
did
reaches a point where it'll then sheet across the other side.
right, it did a lot of erosion on the Chase property.
Did it? Well, we had discussed Manville Road a while back.
Yep.
And I think you actually said you wanted to discuss it this week.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd have your proposal.
Here's what Catherine and I met, and she told me some of the story and all the things going on there. I would like to try a different approach. I think if we cut down those trees, and there's some that could possibly come down, but just for hazard purposes. But where I come from, like the last two towns, I had dirt roads. So we didn't put any salt on these dirt roads. And when the sun hits them, it doesn't open them up. You know, so I don't think by cutting the trees, if we want to cut the trees down for safety purposes or anything like that, that's totally good with that. But I don't think we should cut them expecting that they're going to help the road much. But as far as the water goes, I'd like to ditch it with our backhoe. And if there's any roots that we have to, we can try to cut them out with our chainsaws and come back with a stump grinder, grind them down. Because you don't need that much depth in there, you just need it kind of smooth and let the water run back to the culverts. We can divert some one way and then some the other.
There is no culvert. There's only
Or
that
the catch basin.
catch basin.
No, there's a culvert.
Yeah, but it's blocked.
Right.
Oh, I can check that out too.
Well, that's a
Not
whole
gonna.
other issue.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
That's why it's blocked, because it's on someone else's property.
Actually, I think you'll find it's on our property. But I was over there this morning, taking pictures of the erosion. And I think he recognizes that it's on town property. The problem is, if you open it up where it is, it can only flow across his property, and then it'll be an erosion problem. So if you were going to
It was in
use
the
that,
past.
if you were going to use that catch basin and utilize the pipe, you would have to continue it from where it ends now on the ground across to the wetlands.
Okay. All right, that doesn't change much. I still might be able to do something else there. But,
If you ditched it on the side with the pine trees, where would you ditch it to?
I could ditch it back to the culvert, the catch basin. It's a long pull. I don't like the water to go along the road that far, but sometimes you have no choice.
Well, most of the water occurs right at the intersection of Andrews, Manville, and
About 50, 75 feet
Crystal.
back.
Is your what you're telling me, is your solution just ditching?
No, that's only part of it.
Okay.
That was just to help keep the water off of the road in the wintertime and the rains and so on and so forth. But the actual catch basin will work. Where, I forget the gentleman's name.
Mr. Chase?
Mr. Chase. Where Mr. Chase has plugged the other end and he put the pipe up so that we know where it is. I would like to talk to Mr. Chase and find out about our easements for the water. I would propose that the simple solution to that is I go in there with a culvert next size up from the one that's coming from the catch basin, put a second culvert in, put a drop inlet with a grate so that he can walk over it, run lawnmowers and everything else, and then simply we have an opening there for if we ever need to clean the pipe and let it go, continue on where it normally goes out to the water. And that way he'll be able to drive.
It doesn't go anywhere. It stops at where that pipe is.
I know, that's what I mean.
It's never gone anywhere.
So
we would
you're
have to
saying
direct-
continue that to the water, to the
We need
water
an easement
source?
to go across
No.
Mr. Chase's land.
No,
It
it's
also go
not.
parallel to the road.
It's on town land.
Yeah, it would depend on which
Depends on where you run
direction
it.
you had to.
The parking,
Once you
the
stand at
driveway
where
is
the
his
outlet ends, if you're
Well,
standing
no.
at where the outlet ends, you're on town property.
We've got
But now if you're going to
40-foot right of
continue a
way.
pipe from that point to the
We're going to go within the
wetland,
right of way.
Yeah.
You have to go
His
right
driveway
you
anyway.
would have to
Go on.
determine, well, you'd have to determine which way you can go, because the end of that pipe is, what would you say, Peter, 4.5 feet down from top of ground? It's a long ways down. So you've got to have enough pitch
Yeah, I could have a 2% pitch.
to get to the
Your-
wetlands.
Your outlet will be higher than the inlet, but
Well,
that's...
that's what I'm wondering.
If you have the outlet with a drop-down pipe to it, then you can siphon it down somewhat anyways.
You're gonna
You
have
can
to
make
take
it
a
work.
transit down there and take some readings, or a laser, and go down there and take some
you
readings.
propose?
Yeah.
You know, open up the end of that
Running it
pipe,
along
take
the
some
edge.
readings and see what you
Yeah,
can do
because
to run that pipe. You may
The
find
right-of-way
that
goes to, yes.
have to run over his property. I'm sure
I
he
think
would.
there's a...
he
Yes,
would
measure,
take an
but
easement.
yeah.
He
Yeah,
just
because-
wants
So
to
just go
resolve
down
it
along
because
the-
his
yes.
property's
Oh,
getting
I was thought you were
destroyed.
talking
Our
about-
road is
no,
getting
no.
destroyed.
Right.
So he
you
wants
in
to
the
resolve it as
driveway.
much as we do.
No,
And
and
if
he'd
it's
be happy with
underground,
this.
Yeah.
and not have an impact on the property, I'm sure that he would be amenable to something, but I would suggest that unburied
And find out
and
how
take
deep.
some readings, because I don't know if you, like Peter said, I don't know if you have enough pitch.
Well, it's going to have to, the outlet's going to have to be higher, I think, because I think Dennis did some shots, and that's why he said it wouldn't work.
He didn't take any shots, he just used his eyeballs, because
Okay.
I was with him.
Okay, well, but I think that's what you're going to find, is our outlet's going to be higher than the inlet,
Which is...
which we can still make it work, yeah.
It's been
We
done
just have
before.
water in the pipe.
Yeah, well, and the catch basin, yeah.
Plastic pipe that we have
Yeah.
now. Because we can try to form an airtight lock.
I
Yeah,
think it'll be close. I think it'll be real close.
Can we get that done this year?
If I get right on it, we can. So if we find out that we have, if we're able to put the water where I want to go, and find out from Mr. Chase if I can do it, if he's okay with it, maybe we might have to do an easement, but yeah, if we get right on it in the next week or two.
should be town land, that wide, it's in the roadway easement.
Because I can,
The
20 feet
you'll
from
see
center
the
line.
grade stakes, there's two of them, I saw them both today. And it looked, definitely the outlet where it exists now is on town land. But what I'm saying is, depending on which way you're gonna go with it, the shortest distance to get to the wetlands is gonna be across this
This is-
property.
He'll give you the easement,
Yes, he will.
he just wants to get it so he can get his driveway from washing out.
I want that for him. And I think this will work out well because we'll have an opening in between. So should we ever get a plug up of some sort in the roadside, we can snake that with the hose to back flush it.
Why not go across, why not let it go across the, instead of going into the property where it goes in, let it go to the side of the road and go down the side of the road to the water?
Because
Because then
it's,
you will be dealing with digging up the root balls on those trees.
Which aren't that deep.
But that's I'm talking about the opposite side of the road.
Yeah, you
You'd
got-
have to put a new...
He's got a
if you're not
driveway.
gonna use existing culvert, you'd have to put a new culvert.
You'd have
And
to
you'd
put a
have
new
to cut
culvert.
a...
Cut up the
cut
road.
a hole in the road.
Yeah, and technically you would have to go through DES to do that. And, I'd have to do forms and maps and, it's a whole process.
If you run a ditch down the pine tree side, we'd need to get DES permission?
Anytime you go to put a culvert in,
It's a culvert,
it's a
but not the ditch,
It's a little bit of a
right?
gray area. I'm pushing the borders, just trying to do the extension.
Where's the existing one on the pine tree side now?
There
There is a,
drains across the street.
Right, that's what I thought. It goes across the
From the
street.
catch basin.
So
Yep.
why not take across the street and bring it down further, down the road further, past the
You wouldn't have the
lawn?
pitch.
You don't have the pitch?
You wouldn't
Well,
have the
his-
pitch. If you're gonna
he's
bring
got a
it down the
driveway that'll
road,
be
you're
in
not
your
going
way.
uphill instead of downhill.
At the
Right
end
at
of the
his
driveway?
land,
where it comes,
you know, here it
Can't go
is,
under
right
the
at
end of
his
the end of the
land.
driveway?
you'd have to put a culvert in.
That's what he's talking about, is
Yeah.
going down that way.
Oh, okay.
But what-
I thought he was talking of coming down this way,
I don't think I have that.
this way,
Oh,
into the
no, going
road.
across like this?
Yeah.
No.
Where's gallery?
Talking about, and I'm assuming here, John,
Yeah,
this is the existing one, and then coming along the edge of the road and running it down there?
We could do that, or we could go, like Kathy was saying, straight across.
It
Yeah.
would require an easement.
See, this one, right?
No,
This is Chase right here.
yeah, and let's say on that
And this
side.
is across, this is where the trees are.
Yeah. I'm
Right
talking
here,
about
Pat.
Just
Yeah.
extending what
Here you
he's-
go.
He's
right there.
proposing this instead of along the road.
Are you
He's
crossing
proposing crossing the
Manville,
guy's
Pat?
property, which would require an easement.
Yeah, the road,
Are
the
you
water comes this way.
Yes, we already have a culvert
And there's
underneath.
already a culvert there, but
Right.
he wants to go, it stops about here. He wants to extend this going down there. That's,
The straightest shot.
Yes.
It's the straightest shot, but where are you heading toward, where his dumpster is?
I can tweak it, I can skew it.
I was gonna say, you may wanna skew it back to Manville a bit, just so he has a, yeah.
As long as there's nothing in the way,
Yeah.
like big old boulders,
Question?
Should be all sand and
I
gravel.
can
Yep.
skew it anywhere we
So
need.
My
This is-
question is that
This was
it's,
Dennis's proposal, was to put in a new catch basin here, and I think that's a catch basin as well, and pitch and go across. But if we can use the existing catch basin, which is plugged
Yeah.
here, and then run this with an easement,
and continue
Mr.
it.
Chase over to this
the
way,
wetland. All right, now my question comes up. I get that. Is that a delineated wetland?
is it, no,
Oh, you mean like,
delineated by whom?
That's my question. Has it ever been delineated as a wetland? The only reason I ask that is because if we're all of a sudden draining water into a wetland, doesn't DES come into that?
We're already draining water into it.
Look, I'm talking about running a
Not directly.
pipe directly into the swamp. It just
Well,
seems
you
like
wouldn't-
that's something they
you
would be
wouldn't-
on.
You would not, they would not have you have your pipe end in the swamp.
You know,
would
we're gonna
have to-
come up 5 feet short. Where's the water going?
No,
It
you'll
would have to
come up
go
big
into
long
a
before
swale
that.
type and then,
That swamp
Sure.
goes up pretty high.
yeah, I'm sure you'd have to. They would not want us to duplicate New Hampshire DOT.
Yeah, no doubt.
Why not? If it's good for DOT, why isn't it good for us?
Yeah, I wish, huh?
The dot.
that's one option. I mean, I could always still do Dennis's, but
That
That's more
black dot
expensive,
is
too.
approximately, I mean, my gas can's sitting on the catch basin, and that pipe is approximately there, so you'd
Yeah.
have to go that way.
yeah.
Here? Is
Point
that
of
where-
Okay, if you're going the way you're pointing, you're nowhere near the dumpster, so, okay, it's not as skewed as,
Far in, but
and that, my guess is he'll have no objection.
You know that?
No,
Yeah.
no, he just wants it resolved.
yeah, and this way,
Yeah.
once it's buried and it's in there, he'll be able to drive in and
Right,
out.
he'll be happy, because it'll also get rid of the washout on his side of the road.
And because Fog Pond affects him.
You'll see
It does.
there's a blue stake up in here
Yeah,
that was just set as our boundary. And there's another one down in here. You walk down in this corner, you'll see it down in about in here. You'll see the blue. You can't miss it.
It might be an extra length or two. I can run it that way if we want, if we feel more comfortable.
You're gonna have to take elevations
Yeah.
to see if it'll work, I think.
'Cause it's pretty deep down in there once you get down.
Once you start going over there, it drops off
Because
pretty
I was
good.
talking about going all
I
the way over
mean,
there.
you might not have all the pitch you want, but at least it might not run uphill.
Right. All I need's a quarter of an inch,
Per foot,
so
you might have it,
but
maybe.
it will be probably close. But a quarter of an inch is optimal. If I even get a little bit less than that, it just means it flows slower. It's just like plumbing, you know. The reason they put them in at a quarter of an inch per foot is because,
Right now, you figure we have no drainage,
yeah.
except what the sand will absorb.
So that's my proposal for that, because I don't think that taking trees out is gonna melt the snow, the hard pack. It might help on some sunny days, but to be honest with you, I think what's gonna happen is,
It might make
with no
ruts.
salt, it's gonna make it worse.
What is your proposal for treating that road? That section from Route 3, actually, it starts right by the tracks, I think. Sometimes by Route 3, but up through there, it's pretty bad.
I would say,
It is, I mean, it's amazing.
I,
Even crawling over it is teeth
with your
chattering.
blessing, I would, propose a low salt instead of a no salt. Now, the low salt means you go up with generally no more than 50/50 mix.
You know my vote.
And I know that,
Whatever it takes.
we had
Well,
some problems in the
I've never
past with a
said
couple
full
of
salt.
wells up there.
I said the mix.
Mr. Chase is one of
We
them.
don't use
Alright.
full salt.
What we've done in the past in
Brook Road, I've seen.
Samberton, actually,
Although they did one
is we
day,
created
because when I came
no
out, it
salt
looked like
zones.
diamonds.
And we simply
Yeah,
set
normally, no.
a boundary of where we turn off our spreader for the salt, or in this case, the low salt to 50/50. You shut it off when you hit the boundary, and you turn it on when you get on the other side. And you treat everything else normal. And what happens is the traffic that comes back and forth will carry that salt enough to help melt the material, the ice and the snow.
The semi-trucks are doing that now.
They're doing it now for the other part, coming up past the track.
Past the tracks, because we're supposed to stop at the tracks.
So it will
Never
crack.
done till the tracks.
Well, they're supposed to.
I understand, but they never have.
But we
It's
can-
always been tracked off of Route 3, because the outgoing was always a skating rink.
Last year, we were supposed to start salting.
What do you think of, if you've gone, but
correct.
having them go to the New Hampshire Green Snow
We'll make
Pro
sure-
Let's just have one conversation at a time. Thanks.
But yeah, I would recommend low salt. It will not melt as fast as the rest of the town will. It will not melt it down to blacktop as fast as the rest of the town. But it should melt it down. It'll be slower. It'll melt it down though.
I think the whole town should be low salt. Go green.
Kind of what I try to do. I try not to use straight salt if I can help it.
50/50 is not low salt.
Well, it's a lot lower than 100%.
Yeah, but we don't use 100% usually.
We use,
so.
most of the time, it's 50.
I've seen you check the trucks out,
I
when
tried.
they're all grayish white.
I try not to go straight if I can help it, but sometimes I
Right.
fall for it. They're usually 50/50, and the way I do it is, when we go out first to run and we're plowing, we're treating. After that, they don't really treat, unless you got a hill or a corner or a stop sign that you might want to keep open more. But I plan on trying, if that's the way it's been, I plan on trying to make this a lot lower salt usage. I don't know if until I do it this year, it'll work out to be lower. But of course, every winter's different.
What do you think?
I would like to see them go to the Green Snow Pro certification program. It's one of the T2 courses. It's a half day.
It's coming right up.
Excuse me?
It's coming right up.
Yes, it is.
They had
What
it
does
on
that
News
have to
9.
do with what does that have to do with the no salt? the 50/50 on
Nothing.
Mansville.
Because
think
I'd
that's
be more
why.
comfortable if the guys
Thank
had
you.
training and really truly understood what Johnny was talking about.
Okay.
Because we're going from, in my estimation, my opinion only, not really using salt properly to a new way, which I am delighted to hear about. And I just think that they need to go and hear that it is the way.
I think bringing some copies of the road and what we have, and bring it right to the class and say, here, what would you do in this circumstance, too? Use them to,
When is the class?
if there's, I don't know, if new things out there, or,
October 5th, October
That's like,
26th in Meredith.
There are some new things out there, but
It's $100 per person.
as far as snow goes, it's just different techniques.
October
I mean,
26th in
for
Meredith.
Assault. The new things, that's your only hope for really lowering the amount of salt you use is new products. But new products get
Seen that on
very
Facebook?
expensive. It's the problem. That's why everybody's not gone to
Solar
them,
friggin' roads.
you know?
I did.
yeah, sand's expensive enough.
They melt themselves. What did that cost?
Green Snow Pro is not a bad course. I've known of other people who've taken it. I took mine through T2, which was not Green Snow Pro, but I've been there for,
This is the T2 program.
is it part of the T2?
Green Snow Pro
Or maybe
training.
it morphed
They
into
probably
that, 'cause
changed the
mine was a
number.
while back.
They changed the name.
Can we get them in, you and,
October 26th in Meredith.
I can call the T2 tomorrow and see if we have room available.
there's one on Monday. Maybe you can
There's
split
one
it up.
October 5th, but it's in Portsmouth.
Okay, I can try and see if we can fit us all in before we start using it. Oh, I can get us in. I don't know what time, but I'll definitely get us in. The T2 program's one of the ones I was looking into, thinking about mentioning to you guys for
T2
the
is-
classes.
It's a great program.
Because it's all about basics,
Mm-hmm.
is what it is. And you get the basics, you get a little certificate saying you've been through this class, and it builds up self-esteem. You get to become a road scholar, a master road scholar, and all that, so it's good.
So
Change bad habits.
then you can, after you do this, and I like John's suggestion about bringing this example of Mansville Road to the class and saying, hey, how about this?
I can try and see if they'll do that. Usually, I can ask the instructor maybe.
During the break or whatever.
Yeah.
Usually they have the,
We'll be glad to answer any questions during the break. That's what or afterwards, yeah.
oh yeah.
We can do that. How about that?
I'm sure they're gonna have examples next to aquifers in their presentation anyways, so.
Would seem. Dump
Everybody-
extra salt. This is a
Is
state.
everybody in favor of getting them into the Green Pro?
And how much will that cost?
100
$100
ahead.
per person.
$300? $400?
400, 500?
John's already been. Unless he goes, that'd be
No,
500.
he's been years ago.
Okay.
Lot
So
of technology.
$500.
Does that include Arthur? Doesn't he plow?
Yeah, no, Arthur is prime plower up in the tree
Well,
district.
so-
All the guys that plow would be going, right?
Yeah.
So we're
They all
talking what,
plow.
The four
second?
of them.
Okay.
6?
5.
5.
Only got
Larry.
5 guys.
Only for Larry
Well, no,
Allen.
we'll have a part-timer, right?
Yeah, but he won't.
Here's the sidewalk
use the
machine.
sidewalk, he doesn't really.
And
Larry may already have the training.
I'm kind of torn. I mean, how many people, I guess it's good information for the employees, but we really only need one guy. The guy who decides what kind of mixture goes in the back of that truck on that one road.
The guy who's running that spreader needs to know how to
However, the
run
guy
that
running
spreader.
the spreader, if he's been trained and is not following it, now you've got cause against him. You've been to the training.
Yep.
You know what you should be doing.
Yep,
To me,
get
it's a
it.
small
Good.
price.
I'm in favor of it. John?
I am.
Yes.
Ditto.
Certainly.
Ditto? All right. Joe?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll start working on that tomorrow.
All right.
And what
Do you have that money in your budget?
I think it might run to
It's in the selectmen's budget, I'm sure,
It'll be close to what I have.
which is where his budget is.
Yeah, well, I still want to know if he knows how much money is left in his budget.
I didn't bring the, actually,
Tim
I
can
did.
advise.
No, I just want to know
Tim
if
can
you've got
advise
the
you.
money.
Yeah.
Take it out of winter salt.
There you go. Savings.
Bad year for that.
Right now in training, I have $285.
Okay, and I'm sure you can find the other 250 or whatever
Yeah, we can
in there somewhere.
What's a
This
ton
is
of
just an
salt
example
cost?
of, I showed Joe this morning, he happened to come by the office. I created a new program. Dennis, the way that Dennis did the books was good, except for he literally, like the term says, he did the books. And he wrote in everything, and you have to go back and forth. I know, I gave you two there.
Well, that's good, because one goes to Peter.
Yeah, so I created a spend down program. So if as I go across and I put expenses to the line, it'll actually on the far right-hand side tell me what I have left in that line.
Perfect.
And then on the bottom, I put a remaining amount for the total budget so that I can see where I'm at. Like
Nice.
currently, we have $85,012.14 left remaining in the budget. But as you can see, I can cross over and see every line that we have as I pay bills.
I don't see wages.
Well, Tim takes care of that part usually, it's up in the office
So
here.
you just took that right out of this? You took it right out of your equation.
Yeah, because it's, unless it's, unless I start tracking overtime, but usually I would get that, because I don't really do overtime unless it's emergency situations anyway.
Printing, you got it in printing.
Yeah,
Friend.
yeah, between the training, he's got stuff.
Yeah.
He's got postage. Office supplies, I mean, he's got money.
Sidewalk construction.
That's a nice,
God knows.
that's a nice round number for postage.
Yeah, and I think I zeroed that out on the next budget, because a lot of times if it's, it's postage and,
Shipping, the handling.
yeah, because I count shipping as part of the cost of the product.
Sure.
Yeah,
If we're not going to do any sidewalks this year, and I don't know what your plan is,
Well, I was going to talk to you about that tonight.
if we can get bids on them and agree and hire a contractor, we could encumber
The monies,
that
right?
89,000. I mean, 8,900, so we don't have to raise and appropriate it
Say
again.
89,000, wouldn't that do almost all the sidewalks?
I know, wouldn't that be nice?
89,000.
Well, I got a hold of Chris from Porter. He's the only one that responded when Dennis called. Dennis called a couple contractors to give us quotes on the sidewalk. You're not going to be happy.
I'm not happy now.
Do we know who we contacted?
We contacted Chris from Porter Paving.
Who else did we contact?
So we could actually send this
Well,
out.
I haven't contacted anybody else yet, but I don't, based on his figures here. Oops, sorry.
This
This is not the,
The town policy states that anything that's over $500 has to go
Yeah.
out to at least 3 bids.
right, and
Especially for 12-3 or 25-5.
yeah, so we would have to do a bid, an RFP.
These, I had them together, Joe.
Who is setting the granite curb?
It's not option 1 or 2.
And all this proposal here is for, it's the front of the town hall, and there's saw cutting involved, and so it's the front of the town hall, the side of the town hall, up to the bridge, and back down the other side to Main Street. And so, it's a lot of money. It's $37,800 just for that section.
Who's setting the curb?
This is all their work.
Set the grade for proper pitch and water flow, fine
Yeah.
grade,
Doesn't,
saw cut.
does it say anything about reset?
Doesn't say
granite?
anything about
So
setting
it's
the
not part of
gravity.
it.
Yeah, he's probably, if we go into resetting curbs, it's gonna be even more expensive.
Who's gonna reset the curbs
You're gonna have to
then?
reset them.
Who resets them? You guys.
We would have to put that into this again.
Or you could just take and reset the curb,
Well,
right?
why did we go out for this and not ask about resetting the granite? That's like half a bid.
Yeah, that was,
Who sent
So
the
what
bid
you're
out?
saying is, oops,
Who sent the bid out?
no, when Dennis and I were there, Dennis was giving him all the information, and I walked around with him so I could give somebody else the information.
All right, so can we send this out to a lot of pavers, not just one paver?
Yeah.
Not just 3, the minimum.
Not just 3, the minimum. We want to go to all the pavers to say, we have this job and an RFP, and send that out and get quotes, and we get those quotes back.
We can. I don't know how much of a response we're gonna get this time. of
doesn't
year.
make any
Well,
difference.
so,
Yeah,
yeah, but you know what? Go with what Catherine's saying. If we get the quotes,
And then we can build the budget.
we
can
can...
encumber.
We can encumber the money this year and start the work in the spring and get it done.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the
First
way,
on the list, yeah.
first on the list for next year.
yeah, that's the way I
Let's
like
do it and do it the right way instead of just, and they have, make sure resetting the granite is in there.
Do we know if these square yards, did Dennis measure it, or did he leave it up to Porter?
You left it up to Porter.
Again, we should spec it out,
Yeah,
and that way everyone's bidding the same, because when you leave it up to the contractors, you get different square yards,
Are you able to do this?
and,
I can do it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's-
and
You figured up the square.
I would, instead of lump sum, I prefer by the unit. Square, lump sum, you end up paying more because they have to cushion more.
Yeah,
By the unit, whether you do square yard, ton, I don't
You
care,
mean
but,
asphalt?
and any work.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
it'll
I guess they
cost
could figure it all.
$38,000 if we give them 30.
They could all figure it all in, the saw cutting and everything else,
Yeah.
the demo.
So if we put all the job right into it, then we're going to get a good solid bid on it, whether it be with Porter, I mean, because now we
You
got to
have
go
to-
back to Porter and say, can you give me another one
Well, he knows-
resetting the granite?
Yeah, he knows this is not gonna,
Right.
we don't have the money for this. But yeah, I can ask him what the cost would be to reset the granite as well.
Well, here's the thing.
But we would do an RFP to include everybody.
You write an RFP, you send it to everybody, you send it to Porter and say, here's the RFP for this, there were some things missing. Please bid according to the RFP.
Hey, I tell you right now, you can do the RFP, and we can actually do this whole process with the RFP. The only thing we have to do is make the pending town meeting for approval for the extra, the more money it's gonna be. So,
We'd figure that into the budget,
yeah,
take it out of the sidewalk.
If we
line.
can't, right, if we can't encumber it, we'll have to put it in the money for the,
Well,
Next
what
year.
he's also saying is, since we're going to be above what we're encumbering, will be contingent upon town.
We can make whatever we have left, a deposit.
Right.
If we get these out,
Figure that out.
so,
Yeah.
so the reason I'm saying that is if you get something that has a little bit of teeth, and instead of somebody saying, oh, they're just doing this at the end of the year trying to figure their budget out, you might actually get a little bit better response. So if we say pending town meeting, because I have a feeling just what we did here is gonna go over, well over the 9,000 with anybody, so.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Pending town meeting will ask for more depending on what the lowest bid was.
we have a
we have that inside.
template RFP.
We do? Okay, I'll get that. Joyce probably have that.
That would be you,
Gail or
right, Joyce?
I have it.
And then,
Template RFP.
and then basically tentative work would be early spring of 16, so they know that they'll have something early
at the
on when
beginning.
when they're
When
looking.
they're ready, yeah, as soon as they can.
Because the asphalt plant closes next month, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're gonna start pretty soon. Probably,
Thanksgiving,
on the
probably
budget.
Thanksgiving.
Depends on
And
the
then,
weather.
well, then you just pull out a hook set.
but they're gonna,
Or Concord, because you got Continental and Concord, Pike and Brox and hook set.
yeah, and before long, they're gonna probably stop making the top. It's gonna start getting too cold to bond.
While we're talking about asphalt and all that, when they close the bridge, I know there's a lot of potholes and pavement coming up on our side of the bridge. Northfield's going to be redoing around their drains and their side of the bridge. Is this something that we could include, either some repairs or redoing this section?
Well, they said they're gonna do the apron on our side. I don't know how far out they do it, but they do
I
the
do
apron.
remember when we were talking and building the RFP, that
That would be
this
a little
was,
complicated.
they were supposed to do as much on the Tilton side as they were the Northfield side. Because we don't, between me, Dennis, and Glenn, and Joyce, maybe, I can't remember, she might have been there. We didn't want one town into it for more than another because we're splitting
Yeah.
it down the middle. So
I think in the letter from, the email that we got from Northfield, they're going to be closing down Elm Street because they're actually doing even more than they're going to have to close the whole street down. And they're
I thought
just...
we did the whole street.
They're going to go up by Elm Street and fill in some potholes and
But
stuff.
that's a Northfield thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, right from like where the laundromat is, almost, well, there's a whole bunch of potholes like this big that are coming up. We could patch those, or if no,
In
we're
the
not going to have
sidewalk or
them.
the road?
In the road.
That's Route 3.
Well, they
Is
say
the-
that they
is-
only own the section through there. I think we should take a look, and
I'll
some of
take a
them
look
are
at it, but-
right at the Big Apple driveway where it comes out. There's a couple big ones, and it's cracked and like layers missing.
So question, what is that, where does Route 3 end and the bridge kind of begin? Because it's obviously not Route 3 all the way to the bridge, the way it's set
No,
up.
you're right, I was wrong, it's Bridge Street.
Is that the
so-
name of the street?
Bridge Street.
That's
That's
Bridge
it.
Street.
I knew it was Cannon Bridge,
Cannon Bridge
but-
is on Bridge Street.
All right, perfect.
Let's do it too.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's Bridge Street.
It's official, yeah.
I'll look at it, John, if you want, and, because it may cover what you're already thinking of.
What is
for the
Route
Tilton
3?
side.
If you're talking resurfacing with the paver, then you probably will get the same price per ton. If you're talking just filling potholes, then you're at the handwork price, which is
Well, if
going
we
to
were just
be...
gonna fill some potholes, I'd take our guys over.
That's our guys.
You know, but if we're talking dressing it all up, make it nice, really
Right.
nice, then we want the paver to continue.
But if you're going to dress it up and look it nice, then you're going to want to fill the potholes before the overlay, so you're running a uniform lift.
There's the road, there's some sections through here, you can almost see them on this. But they're through here, there's sections missing, sections over here, and there's a couple breaking up spots there. The bridge isn't, look, here's where the bridge begins.
Now, that one place on the corner is undermined, yeah.
Yeah.
That's undermined. It seems like we filled that a bunch of times already.
So I thought while the road is
There's
blocked,
something going on down underneath.
I know,
Yeah.
do we want to,
Yes, I
It's,
do.
is this something where,
Yes, I think.
In the drainage system they want us to own?
The
would this be
state-
something that if,
tie into it.
Dennis was telling me about it one time.
yeah, we
would this be
planned out
something,
there quite a ways, and I can't remember where it stops at.
I
So
don't
John's
recall.
question is, do you think that we should ask Piper if it would, how much it would cost to
to
go
them
out
to
to
mill it?
that
There's a mill it,
Route 3?
and then
Well-
refinish?
I'm not
It
sure
would
when-
have to be a separate
Yes,
bid from the
separate.
original
If you're going to
contract.
mill it, you're talking
I don't know.
mobilization.
I'm not-
Well, because
So
they're
you're-
not- they're not bringing one in for this, they're going to membrane, I think, and then pay.
Your business is not going to be
Well,
with
if they
Piper.
mill, it's gonna be the small
separate
machine.
with the
Yeah.
paving
Because it's just a joint.
contractor.
Yeah.
How much more would you charge the town of Tilton to take care of, beyond the project?
Right.
While you're here, this section?
Right.
If you're
The
going to mill
paver.
it, you're going to need a bigger machine than what they're going to bring to do the joint.
Can we find that
Well,
out?
let me just reiterate on that.
Be quick.
In the email sent from Northfield, they are milling the other side and milling around the storm drains, and there's so
So
many of
maybe
them.
they'll have the
And
equipment.
placement,
That is most likely Northfield's paying for outside.
yeah, if I
But
could
the
finish for
equipment
a
will be
second
there.
here. And
That's-
while they're going and milling that whole side, they might have the equipment here, and my thoughts are this might be a good time to either A, have somebody who's over there with the equipment already do our side, or B, patch it ourselves to get it to a point where it'll be safe for the winter.
I'll call tomorrow and see if I can get a hold of them.
Because it's going to stop Monday.
Yeah, no, that's why I need.
We
call
need to know
tomorrow.
that. We're not going to meet until Tuesday
It's gonna be
night.
tough. We're gonna be doing Route 3 ultimately. They're gonna do Route 3.
Even more reason to do,
Well, what I'm thinking here is there's going to be a paving contractor coming right through there.
That
And we could
and then we-
piggyback on that, maybe.
you want to piggyback with the state, or would you rather
No, no,
piggyback with the private?
Separate contract. I mean, they're gonna have a contractor come through here, or is the state gonna do it themselves? They're gonna have.
The state isn't going to do this road through our main street until we take the drainage.
Yep.
Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that.
No, I
Record show.
how are we going to, here's my question, so we can move along. Johnny's going to find out tomorrow. How can we make this so that we can move forward either Monday on it and have them either do it or not do it? Do we want to,
I'd rather patch the potholes and do it afterwards. I gotta tell you.
You don't have the time, really.
That, I can't imagine that you can talk to him Friday, get a realistic bid for them to start on Monday. That just seems unlikely to me.
Doesn't hurt to ask if it sounds like some
True enough.
absolutely incredible deal, that he'll just drive over and do it.
The company, well, I know that Walcott's doing the
yeah,
paving.
the paving?
Where's Walcott?
Guilford, I believe.
Guilford, but they don't have any milling equipment, I don't think, do they?
I think last time I talked to Jimmy, they do.
Oh, they do now? Okay.
But it's
If
let's not
if not,
and stuff,
That's,
Bobcat and stuff. I don't think they have a big.
If
who
they
has,
said they're milling
besides
all
Pike,
this.
does GMI have a,
well, then that's,
Oh, yeah, GMI.
so they might have with GMI. I don't know if Busby does.
Bigger than
All right,
driveways.
how can we communicate this
Okay.
so that we can come to a decision?
if you can contact them first thing in the morning, or call them tonight, see if you can get them over there in the morning to look at it.
Yeah?
Okay.
And then how are we going to communicate that with the Board of Selectmen that are not together in a meeting? That's my
How am
question.
I gonna be approved
I don't know if
Okay, money.
it can do that.
I don't know what a
Has to be a
reasonable
noticed
cost
meeting.
is, so I can't even give you a dark figure. Anybody got a
Do we
reasonable?
know what the price per ton of paving was on the bridge?
Yeah, somewhere.
Price for the paving.
Yeah,
The price per ton?
on the bridge.
Do you have the invoice in your, because that should have been broken down, wasn't it?
In today's invoice manifest?
Yeah, there should have been the second payment to Piper.
Yeah, there is a, Piper's in there.
To be signed or in the,
Is it this one?
Counts.
It's in mine. I was holding on the PD.
Accounts payable.
Hold on. Neptune uniform,
so
recipe. Here it comes.
what's the area you're looking at?
Here it is. You want us to go out and measure it now?
It's all distorted.
It wouldn't take that long.
what you could do, just saying, I'm trying to think outside the box, is approve me
130 per ton.
per ton up to
130?
a certain amount per ton, up to a certain
Yes.
130.
tons.
130 a ton.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah,
Okay. 130 a ton?
what he says.
That's expensive.
Well, you got, it's a bridge.
Yeah.
But that's still.
You're not getting any production.
Because they're coming down from one spot. Yeah, you're right, but that's like handwork.
Well, it's like, Pike doing a driveway. It's cost prohibitive, but they're gonna do it.
Right.
You're gonna pay.
Because there's no production to it. So we have $70 a ton for Westwood and, what was it, Range?
Yeah.
Ridge,
Yeah, Ridge, 130 here because there's no production. The bridge is going to take a couple loads, and then probably 3 loads of paving, but they're going to be here half a day or so. So I would,
Save the mobilization charge if we could get them to do it.
well, it's somewhat buried in it anyway, so
yeah.
figure 130 a ton. I say patch it, he can do it a lot cheaper than that.
I can patch it. We patch
Patch it.
all the time.
That'll make it
Yeah,
more
at the
cost.
same time, while it's closed, patch it.
At some point, we're
roller
going to
it or
have to I mean, someday they are going to do Main Street. They're going to have to. It's getting pretty ugly. And then we will probably have to do our sides. If you look, you can see we didn't do them the last time that they put asphalt there.
Parking
So
places.
it's probably coming up to the point where we're due our, 10 or 12 feet? And we can include that.
Yes, generously patch it.
Okay, what's out?
And on the subject of sidewalks, I know that price is high to everybody, but, so in my sidewalk planning, I've been asking around how to figure it and make sure. So here's what I came up with, just to get you guys up to speed on how much it could cost. Typically, you're looking at 5 feet on the sidewalk wide, and you break it down to square foot. About $4 a square foot would cover all the cost of, generally speaking, for budget purposes, would cover any materials and the asphalt, labor and stuff. But that's on the outskirts of the normal.
Is that,
So that's $20 a linear foot. $20 a linear foot if I'm going 5 feet wide.
5 feet wide, yeah.
okay.
So it's like $4
Yeah.
a square foot.
Yeah, so 4 times 5, 20.
that's demo and replace?
Yeah. But,
Without setting the curb?
well, here's what I would
Right.
recommend we do with this, because we don't want to cut ourselves short. You never know when emergency situations are going to come up. If you raise and appropriated the monies on any specific job that we came up with, time permitting and weather permitting and all that stuff, and when it's come time to do them, as long as we're not around any buildings and stuff, I'm comfortable with our crew going over and yarding the asphalt out and saw cutting driveways and things of that nature. All that will drop the price. Always figure for, in case they had to do it all, for whatever reason might be. And then we can save the town money by utilizing our own forces and some things like that.
Well, hopefully we'll add the sidewalks to our reserve.
Are you comfortable renting a sidewalk paver off of one of the contractors and doing it all?
I've never done that.
Of course, the other
Sure, I
thing
can
is you'd
figure it.
probably want a Bobcat to feed it as opposed to your backhoe would be more efficient.
Probably, yeah. It would be more efficient.
And a lot more efficient than wheelbarrows.
And a Bobcat would be
Done
good.
that.
Back injuries.
Oh, yeah. Well, I unloaded 8 tons the other day.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
no, I would be, I think we could probably do that. For
Yeah,
one, it's proficient, there might be
Sure.
a few more blemishes, but,
You get good at it.
yeah, you would get good at it after a while.
Well, and it's something different for the guys who,
Let's look at that.
And less expensive for the
Yeah,
taxpayer.
and less expensive for us.
so yeah, we can
So
budget.
we'll need to know what you plan on doing for sidewalks next year, so that we can raise and appropriate for the reserve fund.
Yeah, because I wanted to bring you up to date on what I figured out. Basically, 5 feet wide, if you want a 100-foot stretch, breaks down to 500 square feet, which would be $2,000 for
When we,
100 feet long.
How many, did you get your tonnage for that? I'm just trying to figure out how many loads you're talking.
I didn't do the tonnage, I just did it by the square foot. You
Okay,
know, that I could figure it out, but it's just another formula.
right.
you couldn't get a concrete sidewalk for that price.
No,
Not happening.
Well, yours is
I
thicker.
think that when we RFP this project for this sidewalk, that we go to the street.
Now,
Not
on your
just to the
RFP, are
end.
you doing one-and-one,
whatever RFP you guys want, I can do,
1.25, whatever, but are you doing 1 or 2 lifts?
well, the way
Where's the
Dennis had it
next-
figured out, so I thought it was what you guys are looking for, was 2 lifts.
I would think just
Grant?
because you got the first one, get it close, and if you got some divots, whatever, you can always
Not green.
shim it before you put the final coat.
Mechanic?
and it
The 1
won't
inch
show.
would work, right?
You could go
2
an
and
inch and
2?
you could go an inch and an inch if you're doing 3/8.
Yeah, the way Dennis had him to quote it was,
2 and 2?
2 inches.
Mechanic Street?
Total, 2 on,
And, no, 2 and 1, see?
1 on the top.
And 1 on
for
the
a
side.
sidewalk?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a
I
little,
think it's that's pretty heavy duty.
I was gonna say,
So,
that seems heavy.
2-inch
What's he-
compacted and
What's he using
paved
for the base, for a
half inch.
stone?
for the
3/4.
It's 3/4.
Why 3/4?
Because they always, that's what they do on the road, that's what it's.
Well, I know, why don't you use if you want a half-inch surface, go 1.25 inches.
Call it good.
Because your optimum's 2.5 times the biggest stone, and then you can do a 3/8 top if you want a better, smoother finish,
And he's asked for a half-inch top coat, 1-inch compacted final grade.
which is not, and see, there you get dragging, because you take your biggest stone, you multiply it by 2.5, that's the minimum thickness you want, so you don't drag stone.
Don't
So if
want
you
it
go to
too
3/8
thin, because it'll crack.
Well, no, if you go to 3/8,
Mechanic Street.
that'll work, and a sidewalk, you don't have the
Go to
weight that you
Mechanic
do on a
Street.
road.
Yeah, the only heavy thing you're gonna have is mostly in the winter time would be the sidewalk plow.
And that's not setting, it's moving all along, so
It
it's
becomes one
no
with
problem.
So
with
we're
the
talking
parking
3/8
lots
top.
almost.
I would say 3/8 top, go 1 inch, and
Everybody
an
okay
inch
with
and a
that?
quarter to 1.5 inches on your binder,
Well,
Is that
and
pretty
use either the
RFP?
1/2 inch
Using
or
3/8
the 3/4
stone.
modified, the winter binder.
that's
So 3/4,
way
You can do
beyond my
3/4 or the
capability of
1/2
knowledge
inch,
or
check
my-
your pricing. If you do 3/4, if you do the 3/4, you might see if you can get the winter binder. It's a little less stone, more sand, so it's also a little smoother.
Okay.
but it won't matter too much if we're gonna top.
No, because if you're topping it, if you went a season before
I'd be
you topped
talking
it, then
stone
you'd want the
sizes.
winter one.
I'd rather just.
Do it all at once.
Because things have a habit of topping.
Uh-oh, the hammer's out.
So I think we should make the RFP go to Mechanic Street, the sidewalk.
Yep,
I think so, yeah.
I think so too.
So that finishes our sidewalk that way, and then
Yeah,
it's the
curb-
state?
curb. Well,
No, then it's, we still have some up by Cumbies, right?
yeah.
Right, but the sidewalk from Mechanic Street up
It's all
is
ours.
almost one with parking lots.
Yep.
It's not so defined.
But also, once you get past Cumbies, that's still ours?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
all the way up.
it's all the way up to,
All
right. This is what
Which
we've
is
done?
Summer,
This is what you've
winter.
done?
Done, yeah.
Okay, we can take a look at that.
Yeah,
Completely.
well, that's what you will do.
Trying to move us along.
Work on it.
that was,
It's been several years since I've done anything over there. Thank you very much.
You have 2 out tomorrow? 2 out tomorrow?
Hunting season.
on vacation, so out tomorrow and
Who is?
Monday, Tuesday, and
Fred and
Wednesday.
the sloop John B.
All right. What?
Do we want to talk to them about cleaning up Sullivan's property?
Yeah.
Damn.
Or does it have to be now? Can we just let them know?
Do you want me, I got your text, yeah. Wait a minute.
And that was pretty much all I had.
There's only one, and you're gonna have to ask Joyce about it. I think we're gonna come up with something. That's only right. Thank you, yep. All right. When the next round of rain comes, there's been some erosion on the new park that they're developing, Ernie's, across in the PD.
I gotta get ahold of the PD. They actually, John stopped by and saw me today, Chambers.
Yep.
He wants to put it off for a week because he's worried if he gets over there Monday and strips it and the heavy rain comes in, that...
On Tuesday, everything slides.
They want to put it off a week.
We saw him at City Hall today. That's what we found out. So,
You were at T-Op at 2 o'clock?
Wow.
Whoa. Make a note of that, please. There's erosion that happened with the rain that went into the neighbors underneath the wooden bridge, underneath the wooden fence,
Yeah, I saw that on...
and it went into the yard. And so what we want to do is clean that up. In talking with John Scanlon a little bit earlier, Catherine, he had a suggestion, instead of having the highway out there raking and digging, taking that mud up, why don't we just drop a load in the corner and just cover that, and it kind of makes its own natural swale in the back there.
Well, first off, isn't that Belknap's issue?
No.
Not on the actual lawn.
Cleaning
No.
up the mud.
Their
off
erosion onto
Sullivan's
his property,
You
isn't
want to do what?
Technically, it's our erosion.
Have we
garden-
fully accepted the project? If we haven't fully accepted the project, it's his
Trail
issue.
that flowed
fixing
down
it.
through the garden.
We're fixing it.
And then down along the fence. And
And under it.
carried, and under it, and carried a lot of stuff. And that seems like the natural flow. Also is some that comes down off the road that sort of goes down that way too. One of the things, if you look at the picture, is where they have their fire pit and that. We can take what went in there on the grass out, but wouldn't it be a better idea to go and bring their height of that area up so that it will flow straight down along
You
the
want us
fence
to
post? You know?
grade somebody else's property? Loam it and seed it?
I'm not saying this tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking that we need to go and actually look at the whole scope of this, and there should be a swale that's in there, because there's
I think we need to swale our side
a swale our side, exactly.
Yes.
and clean up their side, and let them worry about their side.
I think the contractor needs to, because have we fully accepted the project?
No, but the engineer didn't design a swale between the
So
two
then let the
properties.
contractor go after the engineer for his, why are we picking up for someone else's mistake?
Is it really a mistake on
Right.
this kind of a,
It didn't, no one expected,
expected 7 inches of rain in a day while in the midst of plantings? Seriously, do you really think that that would have been?
On the news, they said Tilton got like 5.6 inches of rain.
599?
5.98.
Well, I got 6.1, so,
6.1?
On the rain
That's a
gauge?
lot in a short.
In a couple hours.
they didn't get any in
Like
Scotland.
hell at my house.
all right, in any event,
Just clean up the mess for now a little bit for him.
All right, and that's coming from Copeland?
no, it's coming
Ernie's
from,
property
if you
across
look
from
at
the
Ernie's property, where they're putting the park in,
Mm-hmm.
if you go into the parking lot, on the opposite side of the solid fence,
Mm-hmm.
there's 2 spots where it just eroded, and it's just mud and dirt on the lawn.
So it's the parking lot.
But I would wait until after the next round,
So I'll try to get down there to take a look at it.
to take a look at it. Joyce will go show you where it
I'm
is.
wondering what's under the gravel.
They have a,
It's lawn underneath, oh,
Under the in the parking lot yesterday, we were sinking.
they've got a plan, and there's stuff going in there, and they're gonna pack it.
All right, that is-
It's not the final thing.
well
According to
done.
what he said.
All right, anything else for John while we're here? In 30 seconds or less? Look at
Are we
that.
on schedule yet?
Yes, 4 minutes
About
late,
time.
We're 3 minutes
Oh,
late.
so we still have to make up some.
4 minutes. All right, I held you to it, John. All right.
I saw the gavel getting ready to come down.
I know, it's getting ready.
Hit me.
Right,
Okay, moving on.
thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
You
All
welcome.
right,
Thank you.
we're actually 45 minutes late, because the town administrator hasn't said anything.
She doesn't have
Can
anything
we
this
take the
week.
PD?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
We
only
are
thing I had was
45.
the contract for the grant agreement for CRDC. And I checked my email, let me check one more time to see.
Do we have a new one?
New figures.
I don't see anything yet, no.
We can probably sign that one because we know we've got it, and then if another one comes in and they rewrite it, we'll do that.
Don't get it.
You're talking about Ernie's monies.
Yep.
Do you guys need me to take it for the
Go
public
go ahead
hearing?
and take them.
No, it's for the speed bumps.
Yeah. I didn't know if you needed me for it. Okay.
Well, you can if you want.
Well, it's up to you.
I thought you had a meeting you had to go to.
I'm probably not gonna go to that one.
Oh, then you can sit here and enjoy our public hearing.
How much?
That was the wrong thing to say. No, you can go home if you want.
What does it,
Seriously,
Sometimes
we're all
I
set.
have a real
We're all set,
question.
seriously.
How
Get while
much
the
does it
getting's good.
cost to put down and take up a speed bump? Couple hours of 2 guys' time, or?
Well, yeah, at least a couple hours. I've never done it over here with these.
The big bolts, yeah.
Okay,
Eventually, I
well,
want to buy them an impact
that's
battery.
per bump, right?
I guess, I've
Yeah.
never done it.
What do they do, sludge them in?
It costs money to put them down and take them up. I'm
What it
just
is,
trying
they have
to,
a-
you know me,
a
what does it
slide in
cost?
It's already in there, that you can drive the bolts in.
So like a threaded sleeve?
It's threaded. So when you take it out, Art was explaining it to me the other day, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact. They put foam in it for the winter,
How do you get the sleeve in?
and then you can take it out. The sleeve, I think, you build in, or you can drill it out and pound the sleeve in. And so, but yeah, they fill it with foam so that it doesn't get crowded up, and then they take the foam out in the springtime and put it back down.
Neat, huh?
Should line up.
And it doesn't break the bolts in and out either.
Sometimes you put it in,
'Cause we
the
have to-
first time, the second time it goes in quicker.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
We have 3 members of the Tilton Police Force, PD. Good night, Johnny.
John,
Chris, you coming up?
nice tie.
So the chief is off for the next few days, and he's asked Ryan to give his report, but also his budget was due, so he sent along the framework of the budget. In the budget, there is an increase to firearms and ammunitions, and I questioned Chris about it, his explanation. I felt that all of you should hear why and how, and so I invited Chris to come here. Nate has information on vehicles.
Thank you. We've got to teach them the 1 to 2 button,
And the captain's just looking pretty. No, I'm just kidding.
right, Joe?
This could have been printed on one piece of
Hence
paper.
hence the 1 to 2 button, Joe.
Use a real small
All
font,
of them,
that
all
will
the
fix them.
paperwork used to come out like this.
Maybe you can give them lessons.
Brian,
Use that
you
information,
make copies,
calls for
so we
service.
know what you're talking about?
I have a copy for you.
We do?
Protective custody, protective custody. What's
Guy's
protective
bucking
custody?
for a promotion.
What's protective custody?
He's ready, he's willing, he's able.
Say what?
Are going to harm themselves.
Until they're sober.
Right.
Thank you.
Or if they're going to harm.
What's protective custody?
Gee, I figured
The
you'd
old
know.
drum tank, they used to call it.
Or if they are going to harm themselves.
Oh. Now, you could ruin a perfectly good Saturday night evening.
Usually that happens after they ruin somebody else's.
I see, so there has to be an incident.
Hey,
If you're
nobody,
minding your own business, you're all set.
oh my God, one person went 41 to 45 miles an hour?
They might have been trying to see
Oh.
the sign.
Well, that's it.
That wasn't me, honest.
Where's this located?
What are you
Cedar
looking at?
Street.
Cedar.
I was
This is
shooting
the,
for
this-
60.
Right here. That's the traffic data. from-
Okay, let's go over the report. You want Chris to start, or
Yeah,
where's the budgets?
You said it's connected.
All right,
I'm gonna go over the report first.
yep.
This week, since last Thursday, we've had 571 calls for service, 4
Wow,
arrests.
that's a lot.
Yeah, we've been pretty busy lately. Some of the major crimes the detectives are working on, they got like a $40,000 fraud going on through Walmart. So they're working that.
Is that the one that I was involved in?
Possible.
Okay.
They're working some-
I'm sure there's a story with that.
40,098.
It was a scam.
There's
She's doing
several
scams.
drug investigations that are ongoing at the moment, and they're still working on that skimming device case through Irving. They're waiting for one of the bank's corporate departments to assist them with retrieving the data. Training, Detective Keeler had attended a sex offender interviewing and profile training. It was a 2-hour training up in Plymouth. Officer Glenn and Officer Gilman are scheduled to attend the Reed interview and interrogation training coming up in October.
That's
Question?
here, right? Is that here?
Yes.
What is a Reed interview, an interrogation?
You know Harry Reid?
It's a more
Vaguely.
in-depth interview and interrogation
techniques.
Reed is the guy who come up with this?
He's
All right,
developed
okay,
it.
all right.
The author
All
of
right.
the
He
program.
markets it and sells it.
Okay,
What'd you say, Nate?
The author of the program.
Yep.
okay.
And Detective Buffington is attending some polygraph training in November.
Is that a
This is
refresher,
continuing
or is that
education?
new
It's
information?
Recertifying.
recertification and new information that's been obtained throughout the year. Then we get to the fleet. The chief's car, Sergeant Morrison, has some prices on remanufactured engines. 10A needed new brake pads to pass inspection. That has since been taken care of. It does have a possible AC condenser leak. Arthur's checking on that to make sure it's not just a coolant line that's leaking.
We actually did check that, and it is verified it's leaking, so I've got the part ordered.
And then the 6C, it seems to be pretty good for the road, so we're going to try to get that re-registered and inspected, so we can try to get that back up and running for details since we're down cars.
That's the one that was sitting at the garage.
Yes.
Okay.
The,
So-
The 6C?
Why, I don't understand, because we're actually lower on our detail hours, and if we start putting more cars on the road, it's just going to cost more.
We're not actually lower on our
We have two
details.
detail cars, right?
Right, but we're not
Right,
actually
sorry.
lower on our hours, John.
And is this the right time of year to be put on? And that same vehicle was told that we had to buy a new car because it was unsafe. And it was put up there that the only thing that was good on it was the engine. And that's why we
That wasn't the
purchased.
6C.
That's the one that's out back that's being,
Yeah, that's the one that's way out
Scavenged.
back near the brush piles.
But when we took vehicles off the road, this would be, what, a year and, would be
That
not the
vehicle
last
came off
purchase,
the road 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
one in
And
the
that was
restaurant.
when we made that other purchase.
not this one.
Not this one. The 6C is the one that we retired in June for the swap out for the 5A, I believe, wasn't it?
Yep.
So that's where the confusion is. That car that's way up back is the one that
Well, whenever we bought new cars, it was because the other ones were in a condition that were unsafe and needed to be retired. So we bought,
Necessarily.
Is it that, or is they need frontline cars
Right.
that you want?
we need frontline cars that are more reliable, and the ideology was that we don't expand the fleet any bigger, so we'd have to get rid of one of the older cars that are not really up to the par for going to calls, but they could have been a detail car for several years prior to getting rid of. And that's where that one is kind of at a level. We didn't want to keep cars that were going to cost the town money, but they could make to the town money. And we've always been under the impression that we're not supposed to go more than 10 cars, but we ran into a problem where the chief's car broke down. Several other cars had some issues, and we didn't have enough cars to go around for the prosecutor, the detail guys, the SRO. The SRO is supposed to have a car through the contract. The chief, since his car went down, he was using another car, so that took a car away, and then if we had anybody that had to go to training, they didn't have cars, so.
that and turning away these details that are making the town potentially $200 a day.
well, no, the town, we don't make $200 a day on the detail. We make.
Gross 200, but
We
we
only
don't
make,
profit 200.
But we're making that money, and when I have to
Yeah,
ship
we
out
do.
a detail to...
We make $200.
No, we don't. It's
No, we
like
don't.
$10 an hour
No,
$8
after
an hour.
retirement.
It's $9.82, I think, on full-time, and $18 for part-time. Depends on the officer working the detail.
That's what the town clears.
Yes.
After you pay wages and
Per hour or per day?
hour.
Per hour.
So what are we
$8
talking
an hour.
about? A buck and a half an hour for a police car?
no, some of these details in a day are 16 to 20 hours a day. 16
Oh,
hours,
$9.82 an hour.
Well, we had 115 hours this past...
just last week.
Okay, so we're up to,
We have a balance of over $15,000.
How do we get into
in the
details
detail.
talking about cars?
We're at about
Cars.
823 hours of build.
I've got 6C questions.
Well, how much do we have planned for details towards the rest of the year typically? I mean, all
I
the
think really,
construction.
isn't the question here, should we get rid of a car that we can use?
No, the question is, should we be putting more vehicles on the road?
Well, so what do we do with this car that's usable?
Well, if we let the chief run it. The chief needs a car, we should give him a car. His car is down, right?
Or should we be in a
Spark plugs broken, the engine's gone.
situation where if we are down a car, which happens, then we're scrambling to figure out where we're going to get the extra car that we need for either the prosecutor to go do his job in Franklin, or the resource officer to go to the school, or for officers to go to details.
How did we do this in the past? Because, I mean, to send a guy to a training, he doesn't have to use the police car. We could pay for the mileage. These are just rare occasions. You know, these are anomalies that we have so many cars that were in the shop or down. And
Stuff happens.
Well, as I explained last week, I'm a secondary officer going out backing up officers that are on the road, okay? We got into a situation where I couldn't allow the prosecutor or the SRO to take a car because that left me without a car. Therefore, I was unable to respond to calls for service or to back up the normal patrol officer out on the road. So therein lies the issue. You can't just arbitrarily get rid of a vehicle just because you think we have too many. The issue is having equipment for the people who are going to be working and answering calls and have that ability to answer those calls.
okay, so last year at this time, how many vehicles did we have on the road?
10?
10. And now we're going to have
10.
10. So what happened? We
10 or 11?
I thought-
Bring
I thought we're
6C
looking at
back, it'll
11.
be 11, right?
Not without the chief's car.
Well, we're also looking to fix that, I thought.
So if you bring the chief's car back in the 6C, you'll have 11.
Right.
So-
So you'll have one spare.
We'll have a spare car. That doesn't mean that all 11 cars are going to be on the road at the same
Right.
time. Means you're going to have a spare car.
For unforeseen issues.
That's correct.
In
Training,
order to be emergency
details,
service, you have to prepare
prosecutor.
Right.
for issues that come up.
Last week, we had requests for 4 details a day. It's like we only had 2 cars for details.
So we lost money.
One goes to Northfield, one goes to Sanford.
Right.
They're the ones
And-
making the money, not us.
So if we have the 2 detail cars out already, and we get any more requests for detail cars, we don't have the cars, if we do have the manpower. So,
So if we'd had the cars and sent them to the details, we probably would have earned the money it would have cost us to fix the cars.
yeah, because we already own the car.
But what's the chief going to drive? 'Cause
His car's
down.
fixed.
Right. If
We're going to talk about that in a minute when Nate
fixed.
gets to the fleet.
No new
This
car.
is just the chief's
No new car,
report that
right?
we're
His
on
car
right now.
fixed.
6C. Now?
Sure.
Okay. I was made to understand that 6C had rot in the frame. Turns out that I spoke with the mechanic, our town mechanic, and he tells me that that wasn't true. Now, I didn't hear that from you, and I'm not, that was how I was made to understand, was that it was taken off the road because it was unsafe to drive. And Arthur tells me that that's not his opinion on any level. He also told me, and I see here that it says needs to be registered and inspected, and maybe registered, that I don't know, but he tells me it was inspected a couple months ago. Now, who's wrong?
Well,
6C.
it has to be registered because we took that registration, transferred it.
Yeah.
Inspections, we have been told by the state that any police municipal vehicle with permanent plates has to be inspected for September now. It was inspected for March. They changed it on us this past summer. That's why we had to re-inspect most of the fleet with those MP plates.
The state.
And we're putting different plates on it, so you
That's it.
can't
You have to-
use...
Okay, so it has to be registered, right? Now, well, Arthur tells me the car is safe. Why did we take it off the road? Whose choice was that?
To retire
It
a
was the chief's
vehicle.
choice to retire a vehicle because then we had 10.
But It
We
isn't.
weren't going to add it.
It shouldn't be. I've said this over and over again. It shouldn't be the chief's choice. It should be information that we glean from the mechanic who repairs the vehicles.
Yeah, that
What
being
condition
said,
it is, and the selectmen should make the decision whether or not we retire a car. Retiring a car just because it's gained so much mileage is ridiculous.
that, listen, I remember the conversation, and the conversation was, which car are you, when we were looking to buy the new vehicles, which car is going to be retired? Which car are you going to retire? Chief, what car is going to be retired? And they, over and over and over again, and then finally, the chief said the 6C.
6C was retired, not this year though, right?
No, June,
Just recently.
In June?
I said
in
the same
June,
thing I just
this
said.
year,
But there
June.
was nothing wrong with it, and we short detail cards.
In fairness to the chief, we asked him, what car is he going to retire?
Well, apparently, we shouldn't have been retiring any car.
Maybe we should
No.
approach it a little bit different.
That's right.
Okay, now, that leads to my
Absolutely.
second thing. By a vote of the Board of Selectmen, we voted to take the engine out of the 6C and put it in the chief's car. To the best of my knowledge, that has not occurred. But I don't recall us voting any other way. I was wondering how it was that that process was stopped.
Last week, when all
Last
of us
week.
talked with Nate.
It was stopped prior to that.
I called them up and stopped it.
Why?
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 Because other options came forward that we discussed last week.
That's right.
It was stopped prior to our discussion of last week.
That's right.
It
Other
wasn't
information
stopped, it
came-
was
No, I
held.
told them, I
Like,
called
whose
them.
authority? We have a vote of the Board of Selectmen here. I feel like my vote's worth nothing.
Nope.
If I vote to do so, no.
I put it on hold
Based on what?
Till
On
we're
whose authority
information-
can you do that?
because I didn't say we're never going to do that. I put it on hold because we received information we did not have when we made that decision that I thought the board should have and discuss and reconsider that decision, rather than having them go forward and take an engine out of a perfectly good car and put it in another car.
Okay, let me tell you this. You had no authority
Oh, yes, I
to
did.
stop that. No.
Yes, I did.
No.
Oh, yes,
No.
I did.
No.
Oh, yes, I
One
did.
selectman does not have authority to do anything. The Board of Selectmen has authority to do things, as far as I know.
If
We
I
operate as a
discover-
board, and the board voted to change the engine.
I'll tell you what.
If you come across something in
I will do that
Tilton that you
again.
know that is not right.
That's correct.
Are you going to say, would you please hold that and bring it to the Board of Selectmen and get a decision?
I would have, at bare minimum, called the other selectmen and not just circumvented their vote.
It was the
engine
next
was half
day.
out.
I thought it was the same day.
The engine was half out, and it was on Thursday.
Yeah, but you're
That's
talking
right.
the same
We
day.
talked about it Thursday night.
I still don't think you have the authority to stop
Oh, my
a
God.
vote
All right, let's move
of the
on.
Board of Selectmen.
All right, you
say
said what you...
move on, but I think
I know,
that's
you said what
bogus.
you said what you needed to say,
And I don't
and
agree.
if she
We're just
doesn't
gonna
agree
go
with you, we're just
la,
going to
la,
sit here and...
la.
we're
We
just-
have 4 other selectmen here. She doesn't agree, but, I mean, we voted to change that engine.
We
Well, I'll
also
tell you
voted
what.
to go look for a remanufactured car for the chief, motor for the chief's car last week, too.
Yep.
And put the engine on hold, and put the 6C engine on hold, didn't we? Which circumvented the
Not-
other,
that thing was-
superseded the other one.
Not, see, no, I just don't agree with that.
Why don't we pull the engine out of the 6C, put it in the Chiefs, and then put the remanufactured in the 6C?
There you go. There's a savings. You need to know that I would make that decision over and over and over again.
Okay, so noted. I would never presuppose that I could contradict a vote of the Board of Selectmen, period.
When we all
don't
met
think it
here
works like
last
that.
week, every single one of us met here last week, we all,
done
we
before that.
all talked.
It was done
It was put on
Thursday.
hold Thursday morning to talk with the Board of Selectmen Thursday evening. We all spoke on it. Nobody made a decision without anybody
Never
else.
dawned on me that they had started the actual removal of the engine.
I didn't know
If they
they
hadn't
started when I
gotten
called
to
them,
it,
because I
then
left
we
the
can
message.
talk about it.
I know Nate was going to check on prices.
Right.
That, at the end of the meeting last time, that we did talk to Nate to go and check
We've got
some
20
prices.
minutes to a public hearing right now. That's what I'm
I recall
saying.
that, So, okay, I've said my piece.
All right, so noted. And I appreciate you saying your piece. All right, moving on from the fleet.
Okay, with the building, we just found out today that they may push off the parking lot for another week. They're watching the storm coming in. We had the water bubbler had an issue and it leaked. It may have dripped into the locker room below.
Holy crap, that's a leak.
It may have or it did.
It did.
It was?
And it dripped into one of my boots, which caught a lot of it, a third of the water. So
Nice save.
it's Gore-Tex, so
it held it all.
Did you put your foot in it?
no. So I had to dry out my boots today, but, so, moving on from that, we've had that replaced. I don't know of any other expenditures coming this week. Dave Appleby, as far as staff goes, has completed his field training and is working as a solo officer. He's working out very well. Elizabeth Murray is still in field training. Officer Gilman advises that she's doing very well in the program, and she has assured me that she is working hard to pass that entrance exam coming up. She doesn't like being told she can't, so she is
Good.
fired up. It's good.
Is Officer Murray, when does Officer Murray get done with field training?
She should be done, I think, in another 3 to 4 weeks.
And then she can be an officer?
She could
No,
work
she
in
still
a,
has to ride with somebody.
right, she needs to have
Hearing
another
no,
officer
and-
on. And we'd probably keep her with an officer on a
Right,
late day shift.
till the academy.
Like a shadowing phase,
Right.
like they call it.
Isn't that spendy to have a shadow for 6 months?
You don't want to really risk her to injury
No, true enough.
before
Or
academy.
liability.
Did she do details, or
No, not during
not
field
even like
training.
a high school dance thing?
A
Nothing?
very expensive training program for that.
Yeah, you don't want to go
It
wrong.
wouldn't have been if it worked out that she were in the first class.
Upcoming events, October 11th, Tanger's having that Fit for Cure 5K, run and walk for breast cancer. That's starting at 8:30. And then flu shots, come to the PD on October 16th for flu shots between 9 and 10. Where's Catherine?
Not happening.
When is that? 15th,
All right,
October 16th,
16th?
9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
let's get to the budget. Thank you.
Oh, the police reports haven't been in the paper for the last couple of weeks.
Citizens?
In the Echo.
Thank you, sir.
I think like 4 weeks now. 3, 4 weeks.
Who's the effort? Is that Donna? Yeah, I've been sending it to Donna. I have to double check to see if it went out.
Thank you, sir.
I didn't check this week.
I know it went out the last 2-3 weeks, but I don't remember if it went out this time.
So in the interest of time, I suggest that Chris talk to us about the ammunition, and because next week we can talk to the chief about the rest of the budget, and then Nate talk to us about the fleet, if that's okay with everybody, unless you want it done differently,
No, I'd like to talk to the chief about the
the budget.
lines, yeah.
Okay, all right. Chris, we have ammunition, what,
It's,
weapons 640, weapons expense, and then, what's the other one?
it's in, the weapons expense is the ammunition, and then the equipment purchases line, there's, you'll see note, D, C and D.
D, okay.
Page. And, there's, $8,600 report.
Okay,
Or, I'm sorry, we need $169 weapons.
What number is ammunition?
640.
Yeah, weapons expense.
Weapons? Okay,
Has a letter C next to it.
yep, I see it.
Okay, Chris, go ahead.
So I think the current budget for this year is $3,500 for ammunition. I'm recommending it go up. I know it's probably, you guys don't follow this year, but my recommendation is $6,400, $430.11. Basically, I have a breakdown.
How much did you say?
But
$1,411.
I have a breakdown.
How much cents?
Which line?
11 cents.
11
I don't
cents.
see, just ammunition, so is it pistol range expense or weapons expense?
Line 640 weapons.
Guns and ammo.
What's pistol range expense, just the cost of being at the range?
Oh,
So
I,
I can break all that stuff down. So
Did I-
I get this memo
Is this check card?
a couple days, a week ago.
You've got an extra?
they're two different ones. Right?
I think it's to the 2016 budget, and the subject.
Yeah.
Ammunition.
This one says new firearms.
These are the
Okay,
same.
these are different.
Oh, I didn't get the other one.
Yours is
did I
the
give you?
same.
You
I
gave
got
me
the
two.
ammo,
I'll keep this one.
Can we take one off the table?
Right there, Joyce.
an ammo one.
I guess.
Okay, so we have ammo. We gotta
So-
move now, all right.
So right now, the current budget's $3,000,
Yep,
or $3,500. However, that line item covers ammunition for the department plus taser cartridges. So basically how it works is we carry tasers. We have to certify every officer every year with a taser device. To do that is approximately $1,400 because each person has to shoot 2 cartridges each time. So out of that $3,500, you deduct $1,300 out of that, and that's what we're left over currently for ammunition.
His request is $3,750. Right? Department request.
Correct, for 2016.
and he's got a new department.
But I got a new request
So,
thought I heard you
so
basing it
each
on
officer
3,500.
has to shoot 2 tasers per year.
per year to just maintain their certification. And that comes out of the weapons expense,
Okay, and then that's approximately $1,400.
approximately, yeah. It's basically $31 per cartridge.
Okay,
So I take that back, it's $1,353
good.
is how much it costs to certify people at tasers. So basically, I have to go by best practice when I'm training people with the firearms. And basically what I've come down to is, I know it's obviously a high number for some people, the $6,400. But again, we're just going with the best practices around the country, the police shootings, the liability factor of, failing to train people. One of the biggest things we can look at is the effective training program is the difference between a dismissal of a lawsuit and serious judgment. So all the training I provide, particularly this year, has been all documented training. There are lesson plans, so if anything happened 6 months, 6 years down the road, there's a lesson plan that could go back upon to look at to see what the officers are doing, what they weren't doing, their progress, and how they've done. So basically, I've had a breakdown of every year you have to qualify on your weapon, you have to qualify day and night. The day qualification is 60 rounds, and the night qualification is 30 rounds. It's kind of weird on how it works is that our qualification course is 30 rounds, so you have to qualify back to back. So we'll just say Officer Johnny. If Johnny shoots 30, qualifies on the first time, but fails the second time, now they have to do it 4 times, or 2 other times. So it takes ammunition to do that. So in order to get, I think, people up to par and make sure their shooting is great, or not necessarily great, but just on scale, what I've broken down is that 200 rounds times 22 officers, so that would be training ammunition,
Yeah.
is 4,400 rounds. So that's basically 5 cases of ammo. A case of ammo is 1,000 rounds for handgun.
So that would be $5,000?
Well, no, that's, the ammunition is,
$132? $235.
Per case?
per case, yep. Now, that's if we switch to the new handguns that I'm recommending.
Why are we going from a 40 to a 9 millimeter?
There's been a lot of ballistics testing, and The FBI has been switching to it. A lot of SWAT teams are switching to it.
Which is the bigger of the two?
Diameter-wise, 40, but performance-wise, 9mm right now is performing better. There's a couple things you gotta look at, is that, one, 9mm has less wear and tear on a weapon, so the weapons are lasting a little bit better. Two, for me, and I know the captain would say yes, and pretty much anybody else, is the proficiency of the weapon. I've taken 2 people that struggle shooting the 40, and I thought I gave them a BB gun when I let them shoot the 9mm. We're looking at a new handgun, and I've let people shoot the gun or just look at it, and the people that I've let shoot it, has been night and day different performance-wise. So they're more, if you want to call it, bullets on targets. So there's less misses. So I factor a miss as $1 million. So every time they miss, add a whole bunch of zeros, because that's something they're hitting that they're not supposed to be hitting. So by taking one officer in particular that really struggles shooting the current weapon we have, again, it was night and day. I think I let him shoot probably around 50 rounds, and all 50 were on paper, exactly where he was trying to put them. Because the 40's got a lot of pressure. And
It's humming.
again, too close to it.
Yeah, too close, probably.
The 40 is a very snappy round, so there's a lot of recoil, versus the 9, there's very minimal recoil. So we have a lot better performance.
What would reacquisition be a target to after you fire?
What would happen to the weapons we have now?
So basically, that's another, let me just finish the
Okay, all
ammunition,
right.
then I'll jump to the guns.
Okay.
Cost per case.
So basically, we also have rifles, and we have to train with the rifles the exact same manner. So, and we need duty ammunition, because duty ammunition is different than our practice ammunition. So basically, the final breakdown is that $6,000 mark. I think this would give us adequate training and prevent, possible, if there was ever a lawsuit, give us a better leg to stand on if there was ever a lawsuit, because we would have more documented training and better training for the officers. Now, this $6,400, that's based on if we switch to 9mm. If we don't switch to 9mm, it's an increase of $464, because 9mm ammunition is cheaper than 40 ammunition,
Is it more readily available?
and it's more readily available.
What, on the difference in the 9mm and the 40, the ones that we have now, how long have the officers had them?
I believe approximately 8.5 years.
Okay.
And it's hard to judge how long a gun's good for, because, like I have a gun that's, probably 20 years old, but it's mine, it's been passed down through, it's mine. What happens with police officers' weapons is that they're exposed to all elements, so you get water, snow, mud, getting in there, parts get rusty. And what they say is that the chief and the captain's guns usually last longer, because
That's because they're indoors.
I wasn't.
Put your hat on for that one.
Nope, it's because
My
They're not-
timer plate in the back.
right? They're not being cycled around. So like Dave Appleby's gun, Elizabeth's gun, and probably like 3 people below, those guns are always being cycled. You know what I'm saying? So they're always consistently being trained with. So the magazines are getting dropped on the ground more consistently. They're being dropped. The training we do is, especially right now, is a lot more rigorous than what we were doing before. So just the wear and tear of those guns is decreasing. So if that makes
Police
sense.
officers drop weapons on the ground?
During training intentionally, just so you can
Oh, intentionally?
kind of teach them different things.
Okay, it just seems
That's
like that would be the first thing, is you wouldn't drop
When was
them
the
on
last
the
time a
ground.
Tilton police officer had to shoot a gun?
Obviously,
Not in practice,
in line of duty.
in line of duty.
Never that I know of. I mean, that's obviously what we go for, is hopefully.
Dispatching animals.
Oh, yeah, animals, sorry.
So, that leads me to my next question. You're asking
The
for
40 was a good
60
choice.
rounds of duty ammo for each officer. And I'm assuming that's the chief and the captain.
Well, yeah,
That's
well,
correct, right?
Yeah, for our magazines, yeah.
Okay. So 60 rounds for the officers there, and 100 rounds,
Where are you?
and I'm on the first page,
Yep.
okay? And 100 rounds of duty ammo for the rifles, 1,800 rounds. Now, you won't have to buy those rounds over again next year, will you?
Those are duty ammunition rounds, and what
Yeah.
the standard practice is that ammunition's replaced every year.
Really?
What?
The reason for that is they're
Ammunition gets stale?
Yeah,
Duty ammunition.
let him explain.
basically duty ammunition's exposed to all different environments, so it's going from high, low, temperature-wise, it's being banged around. So the way in the industry they look at it is, that's somebody's life. You know, practice ammo is one thing, so, I mean, I've shot practice ammo that's been 20 years old, but I'm shooting a piece of paper. So realistically, if it goes off, it goes off. But if it's a duty ammunition that can save somebody's life or protect somebody else's life, you want to make sure that that ammunition is up to par. And the FBI, pretty much the Department of Justice, everybody out there, it changes out their duty ammunition once a year. On the SWAT team, we change out our ammunition quarterly because our ammunition is going from extreme temperatures all the time because it's left in the cold for extended periods of time. And we're expected to, if we had to take one shot, that bullet needs to go off. This powder, they say with the temperature and the primer, they just can't guarantee it with that temperature.
So old duty ammunition would basically become practice ammunition?
Correct, we would
and you
recycle
buy
it.
less practice ammunition because you replace it with some duty ammunition?
Not necessarily.
But 1,320 rounds of handgun
I know.
ammo and 1,800 rounds of rifle ammo, you're preparing for a siege here.
Nope, I mean, that's what we currently
No?
use right now.
No,
Basic-
you don't. This is duty ammo. You haven't fired a shot in how long?
We have duty ammunition we have to have our duty ammunition in our guns right now.
I understand that, but how many do you shoot?
Hopefully none, but
There you go.
But we
So
gotta
you
go-
get, every officer in the place can shoot 60 people or at somebody 60 times according to these figures. Now, what do you base those figures on?
hopefully with the practice ammo, that number would be down, but realistically, the other thing we gotta look at with ammunition, and the reason we need ammunition is,
I
obviously this
already know
world
why
is-
you need ammunition. I got no problem with that.
one of the things is the world, as we know, is like always up and down, and getting ammunition, so like a few years back when we were consistently going to wars, it was hard for us to get ammunition. So let's just say a war breaks out on Monday. We're not gonna be able to get ammunition because it's gonna be going to the military. So you could be, I mean, I know departments right now that are still waiting on ammo from a year and a half ago. So it's really,
What, I want to know the answer to Catherine's question with, if you have 1,000 rounds of ammunition, duty ammunition, and there's not one of those used in the year, why doesn't that become practice ammo and you spend less on practice ammo?
The following year.
it will be considered practice ammo. We'll use that for one of our qualifications. And the reason being is you want to have, these officers are shooting, it's kind of like a different load. So you want the officer to shoot that during one of the qualification courses so they can experience what that duty ammunition feels like versus practice ammo. And realistically, it's so we have ammo on stock. One of the examples I gave on the back of this, the last thing, is so like right now I can tell you I have 6,000 rounds of handgun ammunition on practice ammo in the armory. But I still have 12 people I need to qualify first of the year. And when Elizabeth goes to the academy, she needs 1,500 rounds to go to the academy. So that, all that just depletes it. So if we, say you approve this $6,400 line item, if we hired somebody, we still need ammo for that person. So that's why we need to have kind of ammo on hand. So none of this ammo is, we're not going to the range and just shooting 1,000 rounds and it's unaccounted for. Like, I have it broken down to like a bullet. Like, I know where those bullets go, so it's not like we're just going out and shooting cans and having fun. I account for it.
And you keep a very strict running inventory, correct?
I do, yeah. I have a little case of OCD, I think, and these guys saw some of it, but like I'm very like, I get guys for 4 hours at the range, and it's literally, it's like, you get there, we're going for 4 hours and making sure we can get the best training in that a lot of time. I
Okay,
mean, you
and
saw
the-
some of the training up there, but
In the interest of time, and
Yep.
we may not be able to get to you until after, but in the interest of time, would you explain to the selectmen why you feel it's not best to split that in half and buy half the amount of 9 millimeters this year and half the following year?
talking like gun-wise?
gun-wise.
Okay.
And the corresponding.
And also on the ammunition, we want to point out, if you send an officer to the recruit academy, they fire at least 1,500 rounds of ammunition, and more ammunition would have to be, we, the town of Tilton, pay for their ammunition down
Correct.
at the school.
And that's bare minimum. Some shoot
didn't know that.
2,000, some shoot far more.
Okay, so why is it not good to split it and buy 5 this year and 5 next year?
So basically, on the gun aspect, I think I heard Tim say 8,500, but my quote is a little bit higher than that. It's $10,200. Basically, I'm looking to get 24 handguns for the department. The reason I wouldn't suggest doing the breakdown of like 5, we'll just say 5 November 1st, 5 December 1st, is now we have different officers with different guns. So the captain would have one gun, we'll say, the Glock. The sergeant over here might have a 9mm. One of the biggest concerns is if his gun breaks, we'll say in a gunfight, or he runs out of ammo, he can't take anything from him. And as a training standpoint, now I'm training one person with one firearm and another person with a different firearm. They'd be different holsters, so it would be a training madness, or kind of like a nightmare madness for us to try to maintain all of that. And then if we do that, now I have to go out and buy 9mm ammo just for certain people, because we don't have that on hand. So it's a little confusion for guys to know which gun to try to like swap, or in part-wise, because now I don't have any spare parts to put into one gun. And one of the biggest things is the quote I received was basically trading in all our guns, so they give you more money towards a full trade versus just trading in 5.
How much are they giving you per gun?
They're giving
Per
me
trade.
$251 per gun. So basically, I think, don't quote me, but I think we've spent like $360 or $370 per gun 8 years ago.
How about holsters, belts, or any of that?
What's that?
The holsters, everything fit the guns, or you have to buy new ones of those too?
There would basically be
What's
a
the trade?
complete whole new package to platform, so it'd be new holsters, new guns, new magazine pouches, and if possible, new weapon lights. I brought a weapon light down here to show you on like,
This is incorrect here, because Tim had put down
What is the total
$251
cost to
per weapon
replace all of the
after trade-in.
40s?
That's not true.
I was just gonna,
well,
The total cost with everything.
Yeah, that's not true. It's $251, it's $250, $51 that we get reimbursed. It's like almost 80% that we get.
and then what does the 9mm cost us? If we're getting $251 off,
basically the guns cost $403.60 for
After.
the new gun.
After.
Nope, just for the new, we'll just say
Before.
for the new gun.
Yeah.
before trade-in.
Yep, we trade in our guns, we get $251 towards
Right.
it, so it's
Okay.
$150 out of pocket for a gun.
Okay, so they're $150.
Right.
What is the total cost of everything we'd need?
For the weapon platform,
Yeah,
it's
everything.
$10,000, $201.30. The ammunition's separate because
Say that again, 10,000?
I can give you guys a-
$10,201.30.
I can give you guys one of these. It has the breakdown.
But that doesn't include
So the
ammo.
guns are 10 grand plus 6 grand for the ammunition.
But the ammunition, whether we
Do you
get
want
a
me
new
to copy
gun,
it?
we need
We
that.
have to buy ammunition, but I just wanted to make sure I'm
Peter has-
aware of what's going on.
Everybody.
The 9mm.
Yeah.
Chris, does that price again include the sleds?
It does.
Okay, the chief had put in the holsters, the guns, and the max. What he had put in the budget.
So above what the chief had put into this budget, we're looking at how much more? 6,000? Or 3,000, Chris?
I think I need to sit down with Chris.
Yeah, I don't know what that number is.
We're gonna meet tomorrow morning anyway, so then we can go,
We can have it for next week?
get you a firm number.
Okay.
And why we need to trade in these guns that I understand aren't broken?
They're working, they're starting to show their wear. So like I said, like the captain's gun has been his gun, so it's not showing that much wear. But like wipe the dust off.
Keep rubbing it in, buddy.
These are guns that you only use for, I mean,
Well, they used our duty.
shooting.
He didn't only say it once, he said it twice.
Hey, I had to be fair.
That price, did we get bids on these?
How it works is we're looking at going with SIG Manufacturing, and they're based out of Epping, New Hampshire. They're kind of like our bulletproof vests. You can only buy them through certain vendors. So basically how it works is SIG has said anybody in the Northeast is going to buy them through a company called Atlanta Tactical. Interstate Arms used to sell SIG. They're based out of Billerica, Mass. SIG took away their contract and said, hey, we're going to this company now. Because we're getting law enforcement pricing. This pricing isn't a price that you or I could walk down there and get. This is something that only government pricing can get.
Yeah, well, we have a policy, it's anything over $500, we got put out to bid, and we got to come up with some kind of comparison.
That's the only vendor.
That's the only vendor.
That's
It's
the
a sole
only
source.
Sole source to make 9mm.
Well, no, to get the handgun,
If you want a SIG, you gotta go through one vendor.
one vendor, yeah. Because basically how they do it is they give a contract to a certain company, so they sell all over the
How about
Northeast.
other weapons?
We have one
Other
last
costs.
question, then we have to close it
Yep, so-
temporarily for the public hearing.
Yep.
Okay, you got a 300-pound guy coming at you. Do you want to be shooting the 9mm or the 40, and does it make any difference?
I don't want to be on the receiving end of either one,
How about we put out a
but I'd rather
taser?
use one that's more
taser.
accurate, which is the 9.
Magnum.
Okay, good enough.
Let's pull out a taser.
Thank you very much for answering my questions.
This pricing?
Can you stick around? Nate, can you stick around? Tim, can you stick around for a few minutes? Thanks.
250 shoulder, or 150 shoulder pads.
Okay, folks, I'm sorry, we're just a few minutes late. I will open the public hearing on the speed bumps for Cedar Street. We have a petition from residents in the town of Tilton, in the Village District, that would like to have 2 speed bumps placed on Cedar Street. Do you have a copy of the petition, or no? We don't need it. All right, doesn't matter. We have a couple of people that were unable to make it, Dennis and Sharon Smith on Spruce Street. They said that they were in favor of it, and Kim Souls left an email. Do you have that email? Just said in favor?
Did you get that?
It just said in favor, okay. So I'm going to open this up to the public, anybody that wishes to speak on or against the speed bumps, the placement of the speed bumps, or what, any questions that you have about them? Okay, go
I have a couple questions.
Could you state your name, please, for,
My name's Beth Crandall. My father was Jeffrey Crandall, and my mother, who owns the house on Cedar Street currently, is Karen Crandall, and I live there. So, yeah, one question I have is on the petition itself, how many signatures were there? Do we know, or is that public available?
no, it's public information.
More than 26.
Did you,
Are those residents of specifically Cedar Street, or just the town of Tilton in general?
mostly Cedar Street, Maple Court, Spruce Street, that area.
The tree district.
Okay.
We can get a copy of that.
Yeah, this.
Heather has a copy.
Okay. Thanks. Do you, just make us a copy, get me a
Oh, I
copy?
can do it. She just needs to go downstairs.
Going forward. Thank you, Heather. Okay, what, do you have a concern about it? Okay.
Is the speed bumps, are they like the old style where they're between 4 and 6 inches, or are they the newer ones that are a little shorter?
No, they're a little, have you gone on Academy Avenue at all? There's one on Academy Avenue?
Is that the one that goes into
A chance.
Prospect Street?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay, yeah, I've seen that one.
It's the
And
same
it goes, and there's one up,
Okay, so it's like more like a speed hump than a speed bump. So,
right, well, little. It's proven, we have 2 on Daniel Drive, as you enter Daniel Drive from Prospect, and then as you leave Daniel Drive onto Chestnut, there's 2, and they're kind of at a diagonal. They're not straight across the road, they're a little askewed. You have to slow down. And then there's one on Academy Street, which is in back of La Chance Store, the little road. That's been there a few years, and it's been very successful in slowing traffic down there. The Daniel Drive one we just put in this year.
I saw that the meter on Cedar Street had been placed to know your speed. Is that something you have access to, or is that something you can look at?
If we're accessing it to, I can tell you.
You could,
Did you take my copy?
No.
You should have it here.
All the lights.
just had a copy of that report.
There's a whole bunch.
So, the results of the speed trailer, it was up there. We had it a total of, Ryan, tell me if I'm reading this wrong, we had it on 923, the speed limit's 20 miles an hour, so there were, between the hours of 3, well, from 2 to
3.
2 to 3, there were 4 going over the speed, 31 to 35 miles an hour. There were 16 going 26 to 30 miles an hour. And there were 22 going 21 to 25 miles an hour.
That's 3 to 4.
After-school traffic is the heaviest on that road, between the hours of 2 and 4.
Right, so 2 to, I'm sorry, that was 3 to 4. From 2 to 3, it was 28, we're going 21 to 25 miles an hour, 11 going to 28 to 30 miles an hour, and 1 going 31 to 35 miles an hour, and 1 going 41 to 45 miles an hour. So,
Is that in one day, or is that in...
that's just one day. That was on
923.
9/23. And then vehicle count
344.
on 10/1. So from 3 to 4, we have,
Wait, but doesn't this graph cover the dates between 9 and 23rd?
well, depending on what paper you're looking at. I'm looking at,
This one.
oh, okay. Yes. If you look
One
at
of them.
the graph that she's looking at, from 9/23 to 10/1, you can see that the peak of the time, the peak
Need more copies?
of time are from, in the 20 to 30 mile an hour range. It really peaks
Right.
in the middle between 25 and 30.
Get the wind.
Right. So it's about 2:30 to 3.
Who would have thunk it?
After school?
It's the
After
teachers.
school special.
It's the teachers.
Try to get away from the kids.
That's Jason teacher.
Each one of these speed bumps are about $750, and then it's, how much shipping? 200 shipping, Tim, was it, last year?
A little bit less, but close.
And it costs about $50 a whack, more or less, to put one down and then to take one up. So it's about $100 to change out each one of them. We currently have 3.
The issue that we have, they have to come up in the winter for plowing. So it's about a 4 to 5 week to get them, so probably we wouldn't get them this year, but next year, if the residents want them, we could put them in the spring. Scott?
Yeah, Scott Davis, 5 Linden Ave. The question I have, or the concern I have, is that we know that it's happening in the afternoon between 2 and 4. If you put the speed bumps down, it's mainly school kids that are, it's this after-school crowd that's causing it. So it's not going to matter in the summer when they're gone. In the winter months, this is not going to be down, so this is not going to address the issue in the winter months. Why don't we try a little policing up there and stopping a few of these guys and giving tickets? Once they get back to the school, they're not going to be going up in that neighborhood, because I've lived up there for over 20 years. And I can tell you, in the afternoon, it's crazy. I will not go up Chestnut Street for fear I'm going to get hit by the people coming across High Street, because they do not stop at the stop sign. When Bill Bailey was living here, he was at Boston came over, he got hit twice there. He got broadsided twice right at that intersection within a 2-year period. And it was all because they come down that High Street, and I think this is, all this is going to cause is they're going to scoot onto Spruce Street to avoid the second bump wherever you're going to put it. You're going to see them avoiding it in any fashion. When the bridge was closed on High Street, it was a racetrack on Pine Street. They go all the way up, take Pine Street and scoot around. So my point is, we're going to spend this money to put these 2 things in, and it's only going to be a certain fall we're going to catch them, and early spring, because it can't be done, you just said, in the winter months. And in the summer, we don't have the problem. The traffic is almost non-existent in the summer.
I think we do have the problem, because we have a lot of businesses that now are catching on not to avoid the lights in the backup that they have at the lights, and they're taking Deer Street or Peabody Street and coming down Winter and then over to Cedar Street. Heather?
Can I just answer another question?
Yep.
Why don't we put a sign up that says no through traffic? You see it all in every other community, that it says only local traffic, no through traffic. I mean, if that's the case, Pat, I just think that it's going to address the issue. I think the issue is mainly the school time.
The
is when we
data
have
does
the
seem to
problem.
suggest that it's related to specifically school and not business hours.
Go ahead, Heather.
Hi, Heather Young. I live on 20 Cedar Street, so it's kind of in that middle section. After coming up off of Winter Street and not even seeing the 20-mile-per-hour sign and getting going, we get the middle part of that acceleration. And it is being right there, living there for the past 4 years, right on Cedar Street. We are getting it through the summer. I can tell you exactly specifics of motorcycles that do go through, and even summer traffic, not just necessarily the school traffic. School traffic time is heavier, but there's still evening traffic that goes through, and we have a wide range of ages who do walk and push the strollers and, you know, through that whole neighborhood on my street and around. Yeah, I don't think there's a 100%, you know, could we police it? Yeah, that would be great. Can we get the speed bumps? Yeah, that would be great. Can we get a mile-per-hour sign every 10 feet? That would be great. I don't think even putting a sign on that says local traffic only is going to do it either. I think the speed bumps are at least going to slow people down enough to where they're going to stop and look and see that, yeah, it's a neighborhood. It's not a straightaway out in Sanderton or, you know, out on the highway that they can just speed through. It's a straight shot. Most of the people, when I was taking the signatures, I only had actually one person who would not sign for whatever reason. And everybody else was pretty open to it, to slow people down because of the families that we do have in the neighborhood.
Go ahead, Scott.
I've got another question. How many tickets have been given up in that neighborhood in the last 2 years?
I think Nate can help, you out with that because he's been up
I
there
know he's
policing.
and that's why I'm asking the question. He's sitting here.
Well, if you're asking me for specific numbers, I can't give you that.
A ballpark range, numbers?
Well, I personally have issued, since I came back on full-time duty in late June, about 6. Now, what we don't want to do, obviously, is take away officer discretion. A lot of the people who stop in this area are playing follow the leader. So we're not getting the same people all the time. What I've done since I've been promoted is I made it mandatory for anybody who is not otherwise on an emergent call has to go out into the school zone, that entire area, including Peabody Street, Winter Street, to do a saturation patrol. It's been very effective. I've been getting a lot of good feedback from people, and it's actually been slowing the traffic down.
And it's been
And it's been during those numbers. So these numbers are actually lower than what we were having before. I go up and I run handheld radar, and those speeds are well down beyond where they had been.
Have we had that machine up there before now?
We had it out there last year.
Last year, a year and a half ago we did. And that's where it got damaged. Somebody took a baseball bat to it.
In my yard, but it wasn't me.
When did you do it?
Yeah, somebody took a baseball bat. But we do, and that, speaking out of turn here, but the tickets that they're giving out are not necessarily students. They're grown-ups that the tickets are being given out to.
Eric Pirates, excuse me. I've been before this board before, as far back, I think it was 2007, 2008, trying to get speed controls that took place on that road. At one time, it was suggested possibly to make Cedar Street a one-way street at certain times of the day. One thing that this study does not show is also the traffic in the morning. There's quite a bit of traffic that goes in the morning because that speed trailer is only facing traffic coming towards High Street and not away from High Street, but in the morning it's quite busy as well. The other thing here is also that we are in the same neighborhood as the Hampshire Veterans Home, and having spoken to several of the officers that have sat in my yard and run radar or try to catch people not stopping at the stop sign at Cedar Street and High Street, is that a lot of the professionals coming out of there are also using that as a shortcut through the neighborhood all times of the year, because again, they're trying to avoid the traffic backed up on Main Street.
Main Street, right.
And so, something needs to be done. Another suggestion I would have is, we can't do that. I know that somewhere along the line that road is going to be reclaimed and possibly put in reverse speed bumps, and that could be there year-round, and where they're constructed into the road. And this way, you can put them in. There's other, there are winter climates that have, slow down things that, are asphalt made, and you can plow over those that are there year-round versus the rigid plastic rubber ones that are installed. Or even traffic calming effects where you actually physically narrow the road through, an island or narrowing the road at, say, the intersection of Spruce Street and Cedar Street, where it would, be more of a traffic calming measure. Obviously, it might be a little bit more expensive in the short term, versus putting a speed bump in that has to be removed. But again, if we put that in there, it is going to, you say it's take 4 weeks, so we're not really going to see that until next spring. So that's another 6 months that we have to deal with in the neighborhood of traffic flying through the neighborhood.
When we brought this petition before us about, 3 weeks ago or so, the chief had suggested that perhaps maybe we just close it to one-way traffic only from 2 to 5 or something. So I don't know how people feel about that. That was one suggestion that the chief had given us. Go ahead, Scott.
I didn't want my statement to be misconstrued. What I was saying is it's happening, I didn't say it was the students, I said it's happening when school is getting out.
Yeah.
Because the school backs up the traffic, and then when you're heading this way, they're either trying to turn by the school, some of them turning before the school, going up through the school, some of them are going up by DeRoy's, and then some are going up by Peabody Street. Some of them you'll see if the traffic's backed up, you'll see them scoot up and go up Peabody Street. So I didn't mean to be misunderstood saying it was the students. I'm not saying it's all students. but-
We've had so many complaints over the last couple of years on the traffic and the speed on Cedar Street, that the hospital shift gets out at 3 o'clock at Franklin. They always do a detour. Now that Clark Road is the way that Clark Road is, they just take a small section of Winter Street and they go and beat the light that way. You have the factory behind Brake Tool. They get out around 3, in between 3 and 4, so they come down and come up Peabody and go down Winter and across to beat the light. And that's, there's a lot of people that get out on those shifts, even that come from Franklin over.
Part of the problem, and I know it was brought up before, but the light at Main and Park Street, why is it that people can't bleed off right down Park Street there? Is it because of the railroad?
Yes.
There's not a positive barrier that will come down to prevent cars turning when the locomotive's coming across the road.
Even though that they always, when the locomotive comes across, they always have someone there at the guard? They always, I mean, it's kind of foolish. I could see if it was a locomotive that was running on a regular basis and at high speed, but every time they take the cabooses out of there, they have a guy, a switch at the switch on each, and they drop a guy off at each crossing, so
I
it's like
spoke with the state engineer on this years ago. This is how I found all this out. It's a law.
Not a radius, right.
Even if they have a flagger there, they can't allow a right turn. It just doesn't make any sense.
There's not, we spoke with the...
DOT won't allow it.
Right, we spoke with the DOT engineers, 2 years ago when we did the lights? There isn't the radius to make a right turn for trucks, therefore they can't allow it for cars. Because there's not anything bigger than, like a box truck. They can't make that swing. Tractor trailers would never be able to do it, so they can't allow it. That was their answer.
Can we go to them and ask them again to relook into that? It's causing safety concerns in the other...
Well,
They didn't design the intersection when they redid it for tractor-trailer trucks to make a right turn in that lane because they didn't create that lane as a right turn lane.
You cannot make it.
They didn't design it that way, so...
A small car could make the radius turn, but you can't, the right-hand turn, but not anything bigger.
Wouldn't it?
You can't sift.
I think a tractor-trailer truck would go from the left lane then to make the right turn if they needed to with the signal on. I don't see, I mean, there's plenty of narrow streets. I don't see their logic behind that.
Because
that
in
would
order to
alleviate a
have-
lot of,
But if you allowed that light, if you allowed to make a right turn, you're going to have someone in the left lane and someone already making that right-hand turn so that they can turn right on red. If there's a tractor trailer in that left lane, he's going to have to wait for that lane to empty before he can make that
well, not
turn.
necessarily a right turn on red, but allow it also as a turning lane.
But a right turn anyway is Pat's scenario, and that's what was described to us. If you've got a tractor-trailer truck that comes up, he's going to have to make that right turn in the existing lane, right next to the yellow line. You have another small car that's come up and they say, oh, I can make a right turn, but I can use this lane? Then that tractor-trailer truck's going to be taking a right, well, this car's taking a right, and literally, you could cause accidents.
It's
You
not a
can't
90-degree corner for the...
This is about Cedar Street.
You can't sift
Nate wants to say
the
something.
trucks out of that turning scenario.
Right.
I can tell you, DOT's going to give you the brush off every time they can. And I have been around this state, I've lived in this state all my life, and there are areas where DOT prevents tractors and trailers from making turns and using certain roadways. And they could do it just as well down here by preventing tractors from using that roadway and make them go up to exit 20 to get on the highway. And that's mainly what most of them are doing, is they're going from Franklin to exit 19 to get on the highway.
So make
All they
it so
have to
it's
do
not a
is
truck
post
route.
that and prevent them from doing
No
that.
truck,
I
yeah.
would be more than happy to enforce it if somebody violates it.
I think that would be, along with the speed bumps, but that would alleviate some
That is
traffic.
the major reason why we have these problems on the back residential street.
I do know that
My
they
street
changed
as
the
well.
light. They changed the timing of the light last year, but
It's
it improved a little bit, but not much.
Not much.
But the sad part of that is, Pat, is as he's stating, if you have a half a dozen cars with the blinkers on waiting at a red light, when there's nobody, everyone else is heading to Franklin straight on and no one's taking a left, it's kind of foolish because you could get rid of twice as many cars through the light than what we're currently getting rid of. And that's what's causing the problem because they're backing up to the high school. And then people are taking alternate routes up through the village district to try to get around it.
I couldn't agree with you more. Go ahead.
Okay, speed bumps or no speed bumps, I really do not feel comfortable making it a one-way during certain times of the day, because those are the certain times of the day where I don't necessarily feel safe taking a left off of Cedar Street onto Spruce Street, because people are speeding up in that direction. So whenever I have to go into work late, I usually actually go more towards High Street so that I can actually go to the light and have stop signs and safety. I'd rather do that during school time than take a left onto Spruce Street. Please don't. So,
I hear you.
yeah, speed bumps or no speed, please, I don't want to take a left during those hours. Don't make me take a left. Also, I'm kind of feeling weird. I'm not really pro or on speed bumps because honestly, I didn't know they were going to be, I didn't know how high they were going to be. That's why I asked that first. As long as they're not too high and aren't going to damage my axles, because that would make me very upset. So there's a couple studies I was reading recently, which I just wanted to sort of leave. Granted, there are a lot of them. Speed bumps in general, this is why I'm not for or against. They do, as a general, in areas, they reduce fatalities for pedestrians and bicyclists, as long as they don't cover the whole road, because that is very bad for bicyclists. But there are also some cons. A lot of the time when there are speed bumps, people tend to accelerate directly after them to make up for lost time. That's human nature. Some of the people we're going to be dealing with traffic-wise on that street, if they're coming from school or whatever, they're not going to be like super rational and be able to figure out that maybe I should keep being slow. They might just speed up to make up for lost time because, oh, that slowed me down, now I have to keep going. So that's one thing people found. Two, it's actually cool that the police are here because an Austin, Texas study sort of showed that emergency vehicle response time is impacted by about 45 seconds per speed impediment. Because you have to do the slow thing, especially ambulances. So they actually did the math out and found that people with heart attacks are less likely to survive by a particular degree, 14%. If there's an area of 5 speed bumps on a street, there wouldn't be 5 here, obviously, but it's something to think about, just another thing to think about, and emissions as well. People will be accelerating after the speed bumps, so more engine drain cylinders, so emissions go up. So I have numbers for those things, and I will leave numbers with you, but I'm feeling kind of weird, so I apologize.
Is there anybody here from Spruce Street? No? Because it occurs to me that if we put them on Daniels Drive and then at the top of Chestnut, and if we put them on Cedar and we just divert traffic to Spruce, now we got to put them on Spruce. And if we put them on Spruce, then we're going to have to put them on Prospect. And are we just going to put speed bumps all over the neighborhood?
If you put it on Cedar before Spruce, you're accomplishing your goal, I think.
Right.
But then they're just going to, but when they get on Spruce, they're going to speed.
There wouldn't be time,
You're
if
going to
it's
have to hit it before
before.
Spruce.
If you hit it before Spruce, and then either take a right to go on to Spruce or continue on, then you wouldn't have enough
It's
to
still gonna be-
speed up because now you've got a stop sign.
I wouldn't even think they have enough to speed up, considering that street the way it is. But they seem to manage. One night, I'm at the top of Daniels Drive, and I didn't believe we needed anything on Daniels Drive, but this kid he was roaring up that hill, and zoomed around that corner, like, didn't even slow down, didn't even hit the brakes. It just seems like we're going to be diverting it to other streets somehow, yeah.
Go ahead, Eric.
Justin, I'd like to invite you tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon to sit in my front yard. I live at the intersection of High Street and Cedar Street. I would love to sit with you from there from 2 to 3 tomorrow, so that you can observe firsthand the traffic coming around the corner and watch how many cars do not even stop at the stop sign. This is another issue into itself.
Putting up signs don't do any good if they won't even stop at the stop sign.
I would just like to invite you to sit there so that you can see firsthand how many, at the end of the day, how many cars are coming up and down that road and are flying and then jamming on their brakes.
Do we have a total in one day, how many cars?
Mr. Pirate, I'll be there.
344.
I'd love to see it.
That's a lot of cars.
How many?
344.
Over the whole
Of the course of the day?
Can't imagine.
That was from
over from
the 3 day?
to the first.
The one day total here is 323.
That's a one-day total, isn't it?
344 for the front, page 923, isn't it?
Yeah, just 923 is 323.
You say 2 o'clock, Eric?
Yeah, one way.
2?
24-hour period.
It's a lot of cars. Go ahead, Scott.
One thing I'll say is, it's
Total in there-
a good thing Mr. Southwick is
344 cars for the day.
probably broke with all the speed bumps there.
Not in that wagon.
Oh, yeah, with the wagon. If he was going over those with the wagon, they probably would have a lot of broken eggs.
There isn't anything that we have discussed here tonight that isn't going to work without the police being down on Cedar Street. If we have it one way, it's going to have to be enforced. So the police will have to be there. If we have speed bumps, there's anywhere from 6 to 8 months where there won't be, 6 to 8 months where there won't be any speed bumps. And that's during the school year. So the police will have to be there. If we have no through traffic, it's going to have to be enforced. The police will have to be there. So I think the one thing that will work is to have the police go there during these high times. And like someone said earlier, give out tickets. Don't slap them on the wrist, say don't do it again, but give them tickets.
Scott?
The concern I have with the speed bumps too, Pat, is the fact that once they go over the speed bumps, they're going to increase their speed on High Street and coming down Prospect and make up for the difference. What they've slowed down for, they're just, what's going to happen on High Street? Because that intersection on High Street and Chestnut is probably one of the worst intersections we have in town. They can't see until they get right up. And a lot of times, if you sit there, I bet you, as Eric's saying on his stop sign, I bet you on the one on High Street and Chestnut, if it's a 50% that actually come to a stop there, I bet you that would surprise me. If I bet it's closer to 30% that actually come to a stop there. They just don't stop. They slow down. They'll stop if a car is coming up and going down. But I've been cut off many times coming down in the morning just because they're scooting through there both ways.
It's a problem all the way around. I could see you go through the stop sign on Peabody Street, sit right in my living room window and watch. So
Going right.
people don't stop, and it is what it is. As a police officer trying to effectively patrol not just this one area, but an entire area, we have to try to dispense our assets in the areas that need the most attention. But we have to also remember we've also got a lot of issues in exit 20 coming down Laconia Road. So it's always a balancing act. And again, I try to get out there. It's my neighborhood too. But I know I can't stay there all the time. So it's just something everybody has to kind of cooperate and understand. We try to do what we can with the assets that we have. Speed bumps are effective. I had the idea for the speed bump on Academy Street because we just couldn't effectively police it at that time of day. We were getting all the complaints, and it cut a lot of the issues down. So they do work.
4 or 5 years ago, we could comfortably walk our dogs on Cedar Street, comfortably. And on a Saturday afternoon, it would be really nice, or a Friday afternoon, talk with your neighbors. You can't go down Cedar Street anymore. You don't see me walking my dog down on Cedar Street. It's unsafe. You cannot do that anymore. Haven't done it for 4 or 5 years. Heather doesn't even know one of my dogs now, see? I mean, seriously, and it's not a joke. You cannot walk. We used to go down Cedar, go across High, and come down, make the loop over Spruce. You can't do that anymore. Sad.
I walk my dog almost every morning around 5 o'clock, and you can't walk down Chestnuts because the cars are parked on the sidewalk. They put you out in the street, there's the only way you can walk.
Which is another issue.
And they're parked on the sidewalks. I mean, there's a painted sidewalk, so it's easy to park on, but you can't walk on the sidewalk going down. You end up out in the street, and it's dark now. Of course, we're back in the dark.
Yep.
It's just part of it, I guess.
Does anyone else have any questions, concerns, or comments to make?
I don't think we ever talked about the placement of where they're going to be on the street.
I think they were going to get with the police chief in the highway to figure out a comfortable place to put them. The board has to discuss it.
The petition actually
After-
lists 2 addresses.
To where
20
the-
Cedar and 33 Cedar.
That's a suggestion,
Yeah, and so that's what their request is.
yeah. Is 33 Cedar near Spruce? Is it before Spruce?
We're like halfway down.
Say it's between?
You're at 37.
I'm at 32. It's like halfway. It's really near where
33 because after Spruce.
Yeah.
So that anybody wanting to avoid the second speed bump could zoom across Spruce. So we'd want it before Spruce Street.
We've got one, the 3 would cover before. The
Yeah.
one near 3C to get you before Spruce.
I think you need the
33
police
would
to have
be
a
after.
conversation with us about it, if we decide to go with it.
Good idea. Put a stop sign at the corner of Cedar and Spruce, make it a 3-way stop.
I think the chief suggested that, didn't he, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Making it a 3-way stop.
Then you still have to have the police
And then
there
you still
to
have to-
enforce it.
Yeah, but that stop sign, even if they ran it, would slow them down.
But it covers the winter months. Wait, nice.
Would be an idea. It's an interesting idea. Go ahead, Scott.
Pat, when they put the first stop sign on Prospect Street a few years back at the bottom,
Yep,
I almost got killed there.
I know.
Because there was a car that stopped coming out of Academy, a car coming down the hill on Prospect. I was going up the hill, and I ended up going right up against that yellow box that's by the old post office, because I thought for sure I was gonna get clipped, and they just barely missed me. Because the car coming down, he didn't stop, and the car coming out was going to the light, and of course, he started out, and the guy had to go out around him, and he was right in my lane. So, that was scary, because there was a while there that you could not see that stop sign when it was first put up. It was hidden by the bushes.
Yeah, remember that.
And that was very dangerous, because it changed the traffic pattern all of a sudden, and people were so used to coming down that hill, and granted, they were probably speed 3/4 of it. They were so used to coming through there. When you change an intersection like that, there should be plenty of signage, even on the road painted, stop ahead and stuff, so that you can avoid it. That could happen very easy coming down there.
In the placement of those, we might want to check to make sure that the neighbor that lives directly there is okay with it too. I know, having lived by a speed bump one time, that every pickup truck kind of, that has anything on it, ladder rack, cars with canoes on them, or anything, are going to go ba-boom, ba-boom, like that, all night. So just want to make sure that the people realize that you're going to get the noise from it.
In the past, the requests have come in, and then the selectmen have spoken with the chief, and the highway director, so we'll have to sit down and do that, and we can get back to those that have come to the hearing and let you know the decision.
I'll have a chance to sit there with Mr. Pyra and watch and see for myself, too, between now and then.
I'll have coffee and donuts if anybody wants.
Sweet. Excellent.
They can,
Go ahead, touch it, stop it. $1. Inside.
all right. Is there anything else that people would like to add, or comment, or anything? All right, I'll officially close the public hearing. Thank you all for your comments. Much appreciated. Did you leave the information that you did? Okay, thank you. Thanks so much. All right. All right, back to the PD budget.
I do have one more, please.
What's that? About the
Weapons.
weapons, yeah. Come on up.
We need to hear about the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just closed it.
We're safe
I
to
do
go.
have a question, Captain. I happened to notice that there was a line in the payouts this week for patches, shoulder patches. That would be Tilton Police, right?
Usually.
Those ones there? And you're buying 150 of them? Can you explain why we needed 150?
Because they have minimum orders, and we try to get a good price, so whenever we have uniforms, they're already down at the uniform place, we just go down, each shirt takes 2, each jacket takes 2, so it's just, they're already down there.
Well, they're
We-
the top bit.
We have,
So it's a minimum order thing, basically.
yeah, usually we only try to order 150 at a time,
That's cool.
and then
Keep going.
we've already gone through 150 of the last batch, so now it's like, if we have anybody else that has a shirt tear or something goes,
New shirt.
new shirt,
Yeah, yeah.
they're already down there and waiting. So,
Okay, that explains it.
it usually takes,
Another question like that. What is a turtle skin alpha glove?
What?
It's a frisking glove that has Spectra Kevlar knit in it to prevent a hypodermic needle from going through and stabbing your finger when you're frisking somebody.
it's occupational.
I was curious.
Occupational safety glove.
It just
Oh,
sounds,
no,
it sounds
I
strange.
would buy it out of my own
Is it
pocket.
real turtle
for you.
or is it?
Couldn't get it
That's the
here.
name of it.
Oh, turtle because it's got like a
Yeah.
shell technique.
Safety
I
shell.
was wondering, like alpha turtles.
Was there any more information you wanted to give us on the gun?
Yes, so there's a couple of reasons why we're looking at this particular gun. One, obviously, it's made in New Hampshire, so we're trying to support, obviously, a New Hampshire company. But some of the bigger things is the safety of the gun. Right now, when officers take apart their weapon, they have to pull the trigger of the gun. So here, knock on wood, we've never had any issues, but across the country, there's been a lot of.
Say that again?
Former officer that may have had an issue.
Show me.
What's it?
You got one to show me?
I do have one I could show you.
Please.
Could you say what you said again? I didn't really understand what you said.
So basically, I'm going to show you right
Come
here.
to show us.
To disassemble the firearm.
Take guns unloaded, all right.
So basically, this is the gun we would be trying to get, except it would be in black. This is just my personal one, so it's just, you can change
That
the
a
frames.
laser sight?
That's just a flashlight.
Oh, nice. Oh, sweet.
There's a
Not quite as,
flashlight in
not
it?
quite as good as the laser. That red dot makes you...
So does that, do the ones we're proposing to buy have the flashlight, or is that?
Would have a
add-on?
flashlight, yeah. Just different color would be black.
What?
I think that's a great idea.
Flashlight on a gun.
Because you don't want to have
At night?
be holding a flashlight, because the best accuracy with a handgun is with two hands on the handgun, not holding a flashlight out here and trying to shoot with one hand. I could bring you to the range, and I can guarantee you, past 5 yards shooting with one hand, you're going to throw, the bullets are going to move
It's a
around.
great idea. I think it's a great
So
idea.
here's your thing, so you're walking around like this, ready to shoot the gun with a
I'm gonna draw
flashlight
at
on.
you, I see the laser on me, I know what's behind the laser, where with the flashlight I may not.
Basically, it interferes with the training, because tasers, for us, a laser is less lethal versus, so if we put a laser on a handgun now, Now, some officers are gonna do, is it the less lethal that's pointed at them versus
Guess you get
the
a
lethal?
different color laser?
Yeah, but
All right, so,
Okay, all right.
to safely, to take this apart, you don't have to pull the trigger. So on our current guns that we have right now, in order to take the gun apart, you have to pull the trigger. This gun, you just basically slide this down, slide it back, and the gun comes apart. So for me, to train people, for the captain administratively, not having to pull the trigger is a huge safety concern for us. So, I see the question.
okay, but isn't that a safety issue that should be taught?
It is.
Shouldn't you make, before you are going to pull that trigger, if you don't intend to fire it, make sure the gun is empty? Isn't that a basic
Oh, it is
101
basic.
gun? So
It's basic,
And
but
still
now
officers shoot
you're
themselves,
now
right?
you're
not just
buying-
officers, regular people.
You're buying a gun that you,
Gun owners, right?
basically you're saying you can avoid teaching that.
What, having to pull the trigger?
Yeah.
Correct, so you don't
Making
have,
sure the gun is empty before you pull on the trigger.
you see it across the country, all, like, regular people, officers, military people, everybody. It happens nationally.
It'd still be part of the training to check to make sure the weapon's
Correct.
safe, just like he did with me, to make sure I double check that it's clear.
We all
It'd
have
still be
hunting
part of the
friends.
training. But now.
It's a
an
safety
extra
aspect.
Measure is you don't have to pull the trigger.
So, but one of the other biggest,
We grew up around guns, though, Catherine. That was the first thing they teach you.
Well, I know, I own a gun, but I
Make
just
sure
like,
the
you know,
gun's not
I mean,
loaded.
we all have hunting friends, they just have holes in the beds of their trucks, or they've lost a foot, I mean, a
A lot
toe.
of the younger
Look at
officers grew up
Walmart.
around computers now, so.
Yeah.
so, but one of the biggest selling points we've have with this weapon is, so, this is what they call a compact frame. So, the captain would like it, I would like it. It fits smaller hands, it's lighter, it's smaller to carry.
Is that what we're using now? Is that the 40 there, or that's?
This isn't,
Okay,
the Sarge has it.
okay.
So basically, so this frame right here is $37 or $38. To take apart the gun, so like right now, we're just gonna say that this is a full-size gun, it's got the slide on it. This is what all our officers are carrying right now. It's just a piece of plastic. The benefit of going to the SIG is, right now, the captain has what they call a Glock 23. It's a gun in itself, we had to buy that. The Sarge has a Glock 22. It's a gun in itself. So they're $400, you have to buy them. So if the captain wants a smaller gun, it's $400. If we go with this weapon, the first time you buy the gun, it's $403. This is $37. So if Nate's gonna go work in detectives, all I have to do is do this. This is the firearm of the gun. So this is what SIG considers the firearm. This is what the federal government says is the firearm.
That's the firing pin,
Firing
trigger,
pin,
yeah.
And serial number.
And serial number. So
Oh,
now I just
sweet.
take this, and now this is a full-size gun, and it's also more fit to the officer. So they come in like a small, medium, or large. So instead of kind of being a one-size-fits-all, now I can get it so if I have a smaller stature officer or somebody that has a smaller hand, I can get them a smaller grip for $37. They become more proficient with the weapon and shoot better with the weapon, and in the long run, make it safer for them and the general public.
And somebody with big hands, it's going to be different.
I could get them a
certainly.
bigger one, yeah.
Yeah. Can I see that?
So that's a huge thing for, like I was talking to Luke and the captain and the chief about it, is being able to change it back and forth. It's more unique or more customized for the officer, but not costing the town a lot of money.
What would it cost to replace the guts that you just transferred from one to the other?
This necessarily can't be replaced because this is the gun, so it's like serialized. So it's not like something I can't just give it to you.
You'd have to buy a whole new gun to get one of those.
To get
Kinda,
one.
Yeah.
Well, in order to get this, you have to buy a whole new gun. But this, the frame is only $38.
Right, so you couldn't keep that piece and buy that if that wore out or broke.
What's that again?
You couldn't buy the guts if it broke.
I could buy the parts. Like if like a part broke in there, I could buy the parts.
Okay.
But I can't buy like this part.
Serial number.
Frame.
Right, but why couldn't you turn that one in, that serial number in for a new one, and get a new serial number?
It's like trading in a gun, so I would have to trade it in.
You'd be better off to just buy a full gun.
Full gun, yeah. So, but I could buy the parts to maintain it.
It makes the weapon platform more versatile and a little bit easier for maintenance should
Something happen.
something break on that. You can.
This is the 9 millimeter? And
And
is
is
this,
that high?
is this the color it's gonna?
No, it would be in black. That's my personal one, so.
We'll have to get new uniforms to match
I know,
that.
right?
New cars to go with the uniform.
I didn't, the last thing I wanted.
Boots, big ass boots, this tall.
The one thing I did want to show you is,
Motorcycle boot.
Oh, I
$100.
don't need to hear that again.
so this light is 8 years old, or same age as our weapons. I just put brand new batteries in it when I came down here. So this is the brightness of it. So this is the reason I want to get new lights. So you see how bright that light is?
It's got the dead spot in the middle.
Yep. And then this light is probably like 4 months old, and you see the difference.
And there's no dead spot in the
Oh,
middle.
yeah,
So-
big difference.
That's the reason I want to get these new lights. Now, the problem is, I'm not saying every single one of our lights are like this. Again, it's, the more they're being used, the more they're dying. So
You can use
I don't
that.
want to say the captain, I'll say the chief this time.
That's
So the
definitely-
chief's light it would probably be fine, but like this light has been bounced around different people.
But that's definitely old flashlight technology.
Well, no, it's an LED flashlight.
But it still has the dead spot in the middle.
It's the light.
They've gotten rid of that.
No, because I bet if I take, he doesn't have one, but I bet if I take somebody else's off their street, they may be different, just because it's just a use, like this, it's just been used.
Because it's used less, right, Chris?
So you want to get new guns so you can have new
You didn't
new and
say
better
it.
flashlights?
What's that?
You want new guns so you can have new and better flashlights?
Test it tomorrow.
Well, no, I would say either way. Again, it's not necessarily new stuff, it's more or less to make the officers safer, make the general public safer, and I think, like, you know, obviously buying the ammo and the guns, it's something we would have to do either way with the weapons.
Having a flashlight as part of the platform is, if you injure your hand, you can't manipulate a flashlight and a firearm at the same time. This way, you can still use one hand to control both.
How much extra is the flashlight?
The flashlights, I mean, we currently have them, but the flashlights cost $108.60. So to buy 24 of them is $2,606.40.
Is that included in the 10,000? Okay.
Yep.
And then the last thing I had was, to tell you was, trying to brain blank right here right now, but, so the quote I gave you, it lists a couple things in here. One of them was spare magazines. The reason for the spare magazines is so this magazine, they get dropped a lot, and they get dropped on concrete or wherever we're doing training. So a lot of the training I've done, and even on our SWAT team, we don't use our training magazines, because they say a lot of the malfunctions with any weapon is from the magazine, from the springs, because they're bouncing around. My recommendation in talking to SIG and even Glock was, and a lot of departments are utilizing it now, is to buy training magazines. So like, my mindset is if you're shooting at paper, you know, use a magazine that's bouncing on the ground, who cares if it's broken? But on duty, you want something that's, to me, you know, it's reliable. We don't want stuff that's bouncing around. And it's just, our Glocks are just starting to show their wear. So I know I talked to Pat about it briefly, but I know it wouldn't help, obviously, in this situation, because it would just have to be money we're trying to come up with, but is doing that capital improvement plan, where I don't know, you know, what the lowest number is they have in there, but, you know, if we did something down the road where if we put $1,500, you know, in a capital improvement every year, so for 8 or 10 years down the road when we're in the same boat, we'll have that money set aside. So I just think it's
Going forward.
moving forward, I think it's something you should look at in the future.
So if we got these this year, then next year, we would try to put $1,500 in every year, and then by the time 8 or 10 years are up, we wouldn't have to go through this great expenditure. We would have it in the budget, in the
I highly suggest, I know a lot of departments that do that. Like I said, you know, I called around to ask different manufacturers, other firearms instructors, if, you know, you know, how often do you replace guns? And there's no like set number. They just say when they start to show their wear, and they say the average is around 8 years, just because they're moving around. And again, Not to, talk about the
8
captain.
to 12.
Yeah, not to talk about the captain, but they really say it's like that low number gun that's
Sorry,
always being cycled is the one that's showing wear. It's kind of like a cruiser. If you got one cruiser and it's being used all the time, it's going to show its wear a lot more versus if you have 10, 20. So.
Did you say buy them this year as opposed to putting them on the budget for next year?
No,
Oh.
no. I meant this budget.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant.
Next year, buying it.
Right, yeah, budget,
Unless you want to.
budget, but
I
then
don't know
going
if there's anything
forward, but then going forward, John, is to put, instead of doing $10,000 every 10 years, put 1,000 away into a capital reserve, and then, a 1,500 capital reserve for
Just weapons.
weapons only. I mean, we
Stay with the same
could
one.
set it up,
Cycle through
or whatever you want to set the thing up
You could
for.
include the vests.
The
that
vests,
have to be
exactly,
replaced, The
right.
radios that have to be replaced. I mean, typically, you wouldn't put just $1,500 away in a capital reserve fund every
Well,
year. You'd have a significant amount that,
Which is interesting because we don't know if the state's going to reimburse for, buy new radios either coming down the road.
who knows what the states are
Right,
going to do.
exactly.
But
So,
there
I mean,
must
that's
be
a good
other
point.
things besides those three things that we could
Yeah.
put into
So,
capital reserve.
Ask them, because they'll
There's
come up
something
with a
I'm
lot of things.
unclear on. You're proposing a total of 3 magazines per weapon?
Well, they come with
One
that.
practice and 2 duties?
Nope, the gun comes with 3, but I'm
Tim's
suggesting getting spares that I can have in the armory. So when I bring, just for training, so like when I go to bring guys to the range, they leave their duty ones, what happens right now when we go to the range is, depending on how many people I have with me, but say they're rifle mags, I tell them leave them in the car for 2 reasons. 1, they're duty magazines, and then 2, that's duty ammo now, and it's so expensive I don't want them to accidentally shoot it. So I hide it, and I give them other magazines to use. So,
How many are you proposing buying for practice? How many, do you
Like
take
spare
6?
magazines?
Yeah, you take 6 at a time, or?
25 spare magazines.
So each officer would be
No, they
issued
would.
a practice magazine?
How many rifle and how many handgun?
I have the spare rifle mags,
Okay, so it'd just be,
just the handgun mags.
You want to buy 25 practice magazines?
Correct.
That seems like a lot.
How many people do you take down there at a time?
In between,
Because he could use his, right?
well, no, but in between 4 or 5 people, so if I have 4 people, that's at least 12 to 15 magazines.
Oh, I get it. Okay, yeah. I get
So,
it.
that's all.
They don't shoot and reload.
110-year-old hunting rifle, I guess, is outdated.
Oh, yeah.
I guess,
Supposed to do it every 8 years, I guess.
I'll take the old one.
I think Jane's got one that's a little bit older than that.
Availability of
Nice
the
old blender.
ammo is better for the 9mm than the...
it is just because, right now particularly because the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, they just did this huge study last year, and they're carrying 40s, but they're switching to 9. And right now, that's a growing trend. You call across the country, kind of seems like whenever the FBI does something, because they're like the premier law enforcement agency, if they make a change, it seems like everybody wants to make a change. So 9mm ammo right now is readily available.
Do you think everybody changing's gonna, I mean, you look at some certain ammo you just can't get.
Not really, because it's,
I think we had some a couple years ago, we couldn't get them for quite months. Was that the 40s?
that was just because of the war, though. Yeah, because what happens is, there's a couple of huge manufacturers that make it. They'll make we'll say 9mm for 6 months straight, and then they'll switch over and make 40 for 6 months straight. So it's kind of like hit or miss with them. I just really can't stress, obviously I'm pushing for the guns, but the ammo is definitely a push, just because the training, we really need to, keep up to date with our training and make sure everybody's getting the best training they can get, because again, any misses, you might as well just add a lot of zeros to whatever number they're attached. So I'm not saying the training we're doing is poor right now, but we just need to get better at what the training we're doing. And those numbers, like I said, I can pretty much account for every single bullet that somebody's going to shoot. So you don't have to worry about us just going down and just shooting thousands of rounds. And again, I brought quite a few guys already this year to the range, and I changed the program, and they've said that it's been night and day. I think a couple of guys sent you an email, that they said that the training that they received this year has been some of the best training that they've received, so, because I'm able to get a lot of training through the SWAT team, so I can able, bring that back to teach those, all the guys at the department.
Thank you. All right, any other questions for Chris and ammo, weapons? We're going to go over to the fleet with Nate and Tim. Thank you so much, Chris. Very well done.
See you tomorrow.
All right. Who wants to go first here? You want to?
I should probably go first because I've got to take some medication. I've
All
got
right.
a half-hour window. So.
All right. Let's go.
Okay, so in the last week, I have jumped online. I looked up 2 aftermarket companies and 3 Ford for remanufactured engines. Cheap start. Wow. We made up a spreadsheet naming the different entities that I can obtain remanufactured engines from. Keeping in mind what I looked at is things like similarities of warranties, if there is a detriment to the warranty inclusion if we install said engine by our own means rather than having it installed at an installation company sponsored by the manufacturer. A lot of the manufacturers that I did look into, you would void a warranty if you did not have it installed by their own shop. So the first one I have listed is AutoServe. That would be a genuine Ford remanufactured 4.6 liter V8 made for the Crown Vic 2006. The price for the engine only, which includes shipping, is $3,079.70. I also got an estimate for installation should we decide to have that installed at the AutoServe dealership, and it was just under 16 hours at a discounted labor rate of $80 an hour. All the break-in periods are roughly the same, about 500 miles to 1,000 miles. One of the companies recommends 2 oil changes 500 miles apart for the break-in period. All the warranties are fairly comparable. The only issue that I came up with, and this would mean a call to each manufacturer, was their definition of what commercial means as far as warranties go. The 2 aftermarket companies that I was looking into, the Power Source did not name a police car as a commercial type classification, so I would need to get a definition on that. But should they classify a police cruiser as a commercial, it was a 12-month, 36,000 mile warranty on the engine. The Barnett engine, it didn't stipulate any difference for a police cruiser as opposed to a regular automotive application. The warranty that they proposed was a 3-year, 100,000 mile warranty. And the Ford remanufactured block was a 3-year, 100,000 mile warranty. And keep in mind that is the engine for the CVPI that they produced for a good number of years. I estimated, and this is kind of about the same based upon my own background and automotives and stuff like that, there are unforeseen expenses when you do an engine swap, things such as exhaust manifold gaskets, O-rings, seals, head gaskets possibly, or intake manifold gaskets. And that you're not going to really know until you start disassembling those parts to transfer over to the remanufactured engine. So some things you'd be able to reuse, other things you wouldn't be able to. And that also includes in that $200 price, oil, filter, about 2 gallons of coolant, and any, transmission fluid that you lose during the swap out by disconnecting lines. So the auto serve estimate came in at $45,5170. The power source came in at $2409, and the Barnett engine came in at $2190. And again, like I said, all seem to include the shipping cost, and that also includes the pickup of the core of the old engine. And as far as the cores are concerned, Ford didn't have one listed. The AutoServe quote didn't have that listed. I assume they build that into the price of the engine. And usually the dealerships, based upon my working for a dealership for a good number of years, usually takes care of that, so we wouldn't have to handle that end of things. The power source core charge was a $450 core charge, and the Barnett was a $475 core charge, and if you look at the prices of the engine, that puts them within $150 of each other.
How long does it take to get each one?
Normal shipping times is, from what I was seeing, it's a heavy freight issue, so it would be probably a 2-week window between ordering and receiving.
For all three?
I don't know about the AutoServe, but knowing that they get shipments from their Illinois warehouse every day, that would probably be something that would show up probably a little sooner.
So if you took away $450 from the AutoServe price, it comes to $2629.70, which puts it comparable to the other ones, because you got to add the core charges to the other ones, right?
Isn't the core charge refunded if you give them the old block, the whole?
Yes, once they get the core back,
Right.
pending inspection, now that's always the stipulation. They have to inspect it to make sure that they are going to be able to reuse this and rebuild this, and they would sell it to somebody else after the rebuild. So there is an inspection process that goes on with the cores just to make sure that it is going to be something they can use. So that's the only caveat with that.
And the installation cost, the highway could still install it, but that would void the warranty?
No, what I focused on when I was looking this up are companies that would not hold that against us and be
Okay, all
detrimental
right.
to
So
the
none of them, if Arthur did it, then none of the warranties would be void?
They
Okay.
would still back it, unless there was an obvious issue from the installation. But barring that, these are the companies that I came up with that don't do that.
Now, this will get the chief's car going, but if we took the car out of the engine out of the 6C and put in it, we'd have saved at a minimum of $2,190, which would come out to be, it takes us 201 hours of detail time just to break even by doing this on that.
But when you have a chief's car down, a couple other cars needing service, whatever, now we're down multiple vehicles, we don't have anything to back up.
Why would we scrap a car that only needs, what, brakes and maybe a
I don't even think
condenser?
it's going to need brakes. It's going to need a new battery.
New battery.
The tires are all good. Like I said, it passed inspection in March. I looked in on the rotors real quick when I was down there, and it's basically surface rust. I get an old truck that sits around. I drive it about 200 miles a year, going back and forth to the dump and stuff like that. It's got more rust on the rotors than that car's got, and believe me, they stop fine. So I think we'd be able to put a battery in that thing, do a general safety check of it, and I think it'd be back on the road.
Arthur's got rotors on the shelf if it came to that.
Yeah, he does. He told me he's got rotors. He also told me he's got a couple of fenders, too, for Crown Vic, so if we need them, they're there.
I don't want to scrap a car that we can resurrect for, what?
$2,100.
Less than
Doesn't get any cheaper
$3,000
than
in
that.
closing labor? I mean,
So it's probably 27. Got to
Yeah,
figure in
I mean,
Arthur's price and
you-
what have you.
You figured the gas
That costs
alone right now that we're expending on the Expedition with 2,000 miles in the last 3 weeks. It gets pretty pricey there, too. So, either way.
Increase the fleet by one additional car. That's the same.
yeah.
You know, I don't see the amount of details that we have coming up, especially this time of year.
I checked into the details with Tim, and just this past week, there's 115 hours that add on to that, and then this week's need to be added on. In the fall, you increase, it goes up and then down. So if you look at the last 5-year average, it works out to be just around,
We've netted about 16.5 over the last 6 years on average.
and it looked,
We're on track to do better this year based on where we are year-to-date versus last year.
We've done, I know we've done 3 and 11 the past 5 years, all the way from the Belmont border, all the way through now. We've done that. We've done School Street.
Asplund just booked 45 hours for the next week and 45 hours the following week. And that's just Asplund. And then Eversource, if they call us for detail, or Liberty Utilities.
it hasn't slowed down
It
yet.
doesn't slow down. And then,
So if we have-
and then you get Black Friday.
Yeah, we've got the Tanger Outlet Mall. They're
Yeah.
going to be calling for a whole week of officers in their parking lot, a minimum of 8 hours.
Okay, so we have 10 car, or if we have 11 cars, 2 would be frontline on duty.
I make a motion, we go forward and purchase the battery, the motor from Barnett and have it installed in the chief's car and get the other vehicle down there on the road.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. Discussion.
Would it be perhaps, just perhaps, a good idea to put the new engine or the remanufactured engine in the black and white? Gives us, the chief would have a good engine. There's a good engine in the black and white now. It's already half dismantled. If we put that engine in the chief's car, because the chief's car doesn't get a lot of wear and tear. He drives to Concord. He has to drive back and forth to home. It's mostly just it's sort of like the captain's car.
2,500 miles a month on the chief's car.
It's all just putting along.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm thinking, and we've got a car that's got a 3-year warranty on the engine or 100,000 miles that's potentially a patrol car. I mean, it's not just a detail car, it's a car that, heaven forbid, we should have one of the supercars go down for some reason. There's an accident, there's a whatever. This car is actually a realistic patrolling car if we had to, yeah?
So,
I'm just asking.
I don't know.
My experience, if you don't have to pull an engine,
right.
don't pull an engine. We have to pull the engine in the chief's car because it is what it is. But you're going to add more expense doing it that way, and there's more potential to breaking something when you're doing that.
So they haven't pulled the engine, they've just dismantled.
It's not pulled, but apparently the bell housing is off.
That's in the chief's car. The 6C, the engines are totally intact. He hasn't done anything to that.
Now, see, I just didn't get it because I thought he was pulling the engine out of the 6C first.
No, he...
Actually, I thought that's what he told me today. He had to put the battery
Disassembling.
back in to push it, get it into neutral to push it back out.
Well, no, you need the battery power in order to
Yeah.
Disengage the
And in order to
transmission
push it out, but I thought he was talking about the black and white. That's not true?
No.
Well, that could well be, I just
He
misunderstood.
was disassembling the Chief's engine to try to find out what was wrong with it so we could determine if it was salvageable or if it was junk. So that was the one that he had started disassembling. The 6C he hasn't touched.
Even, so the 6C, to answer your question, I think that would be our absolute last resort. If you ever put into frontline investigation, I can see it happening. You'd be running through 4 other cars before you got to that.
Just one more question. We have a vehicle replacement and a plan for when we retire the vehicles that's changed every single year, and sometimes twice a year, for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years. It did not include increasing the fleet to 11. It included retiring 2 vehicles this year, and we're not following that plan, and every year, and all of a sudden, it's like, well, no, that previous plan doesn't work, we're going to use this plan now. What is the plan next year? We're supposed to get just 1 vehicle, right? Has anybody looked at the plan? Is this a
There is no
realistic
plan.
plan?
As you said, we haven't followed the plan in 6 years.
But it always,
Because it doesn't work, because each year an anomaly occurs where we have to deviate from it. So obviously, having a set plan isn't going to work because it isn't going to cover those anomalies. Just like
I
this is,
No one planned for the engine problem that the chief's car had. How can you plan for something like that?
no, but we're repairing the chief's car and we're adding a car to the fleet.
Yep.
For 1 spark plug. A defective spark plug, and we're going to spend
A defective spark
2,000
plug
and
that
put another
ruined the
vehicle on the
motor.
road.
It's not just a
right.
defective spark plug.
That's right, but we're not repairing what originally the problem was. We're adding a vehicle on and repairing.
Well, we are repairing, but we're also finding another situation that we
Is-
want to address.
we have a vehicle that needs a battery, for crying out loud, a battery. Why would we not put a new battery in that car, make it usable? Are you going to scrap the car because it needs a battery? And the chief's car needs a new motor. The car is fine, it's sound. So again, are you going to...
So all you're going to be doing is...
Yeah, you're gonna scrap it?
I can tell you as a taxpayer, okay, this makes financial sense.
Yes, thank you.
You have a car right now that is serviceable. We spend $100 on a heavy-duty battery for it. We register it, we bring it up, we get a sticker put on it. I get it back in the fleet. The next time Liberty Utilities calls, I don't have to call out to Northfield to give away our detail money. It's coming into the town to help defray the tax base. That's what we're looking at.
Can we get the 6C inspected first before we purchase the engine?
Yeah.
The 6C, the
Make sure
6C
it's-
can be inspected tomorrow.
Can we do that, get that registered and inspected first to make sure, because it was portrayed to me that that vehicle was unsafe.
That was my understanding, but Arthur says no.
What
It
difference
was
does that
Hence
have
the
with the
reason
chiefs?
I stopped what was
Okay,
going
but
on.
what difference does it
Selectmen
have to
could be
getting the
aware
chiefs?
of these changes and make
So,
a decision accordingly.
so before we purchase the engine, let's
Is what John's
make sure that 6C does pass inspection without requiring, a tie rod end or something like that. That's fine, brakes, things, but does not require, framework.
Arthur's looked at it already, right?
I'm asking
What'd
for
he say?
an inspection
Walk
sticker.
Walk-around, I'm going to have him put it up on the rack so that he can check brake lines and stuff like that. It's going to be a pre-inspection for the inspection, so
Yeah.
if we do find something, then he's going to let me know, and
Yeah.
I can go from
We'll
there.
have an inspection sticker on the car
On the
before
car.
we purchase the engine.
Yeah.
That's okay with me.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to put an engine into the chief's car. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
it was engine in the chief's car and get the other one on the road.
Combination. Can you repeat the motion?
Motion to purchase the remanufactured motor from Barnett, install on the chief's car.
And get the other one on the road.
So you can get the 6C back on the road.
Inspect the 6C 6C, get on the road, and
Right,
that's the one that requires the battery?
yes. Battery and,
Inspection,
Inspection.
registration.
whatever. Okay, so, we have 3 ayes, all those opposed?
Aye, opposed.
Abstain?
Present?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say I oppose, only because what John just said and we agreed to was we weren't going to buy the engine until the 6C was registered and inspected. Heaven forbid it shouldn't pass registration or shouldn't pass inspection, then we're still talking about putting that engine in the chief's car. So if we have an engine and the 6C, for some reason, turns out that it can't be inspected,
Then we won't be buying the motor.
except for we just voted to buy the motor. I'm saying,
I think the selectmen agreed to what John said, didn't we?
We did.
Peter?
I'm fine with that.
So am I.
so is that part of the motion?
No, it's not part of the motion, but we all agreed.
I think
If you'd like
they
a-
understand
if
our
you'd like a
intent.
That's why I voted no.
All right, if you'd
As
like a new motion,
It's not included that it has to pass.
I could vote for
Then
something
let's-
that was specific.
I vote to rescind the previous motion and vote that was taken.
Oh, you can't just amend it?
No, because it was already voted
Yeah, it was already
on.
taken.
Somebody heard him second.
So I would.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, do I have to unsecond the other one?
Everybody vote?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Certainly.
Okay,
So
now,
the new motion would be, do you want to make it?
No. I'm
Oh, my
going to
God.
oppose having 11 cars no matter what you say.
Okay. So the new
So
motion
why were you even
I
bothering?
can see
to
this.
purchase the motor
get me to vote
from
yes.
Barnett for the police
So
chief's
you're adding another 3
Are-
minutes to our meeting.
after we verify that the 6C passes inspection.
Verify that it's stickered.
Well, that's
Stickered
passing
and passes
inspection.
inspection.
I'll second
And
that
to
one.
get that car back on the road if it does pass inspection. How's that?
I'll second that one.
Was that?
Yeah.
All right, motion has been
for
made
that.
and seconded.
Yeah, that's
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
still
Opposed?
opposed.
Opposed. Okay, we have,
Record showed.
okay, now we have one other. Tim?
One other Tim.
So,
We only had one Tim.
since we're talking about options and
Imagine 2 of them?
Fleet.
Oh, my God.
fleet things, you know, if you need to go.
I'm gonna love this.
Put them up in
So,
orbit.
this is one option we have. This is pertaining to the chief's vehicle and
You're all
to
set. Nate, thank you.
the expedition.
Much appreciated.
Thank you, Nate.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Good night, Nate.
The expedition that we have now was purchased in 2011 because we didn't have a winter vehicle. So all the Crown Vics were rear-wheel drive. And we purchased the 2011 because the 2003 had rusted out pretty much at the PD because it didn't get a whole lot of use. And so with the 2011, right now, they have good trade-in values. According to Nate, who just left, when he was driving it regularly, it was getting about 12 miles to the gallon in town. And it's been used very little in general. It has 54,000 miles on it. There is currently, it's running somewhere in the $14,000 to $15,000 trade-in value. And I just offer this up as an option because as we're looking at, you know, the fleet and, you know, how new it is, what's under warranty, what isn't, this gives us an option if we were to trade in the Expedition on a utility vehicle, which is the same type as our 5A.
Same mileage.
And with, it's got no mileage on it, so it's brand new, 2016, all-wheel drive. So our net cost after outfitting it with lights and other things from the Expedition, would be a little bit less than $15,000. So it's an option in looking at how we would procure a vehicle this year, before the end of the year, to replace a vehicle, not add to it, but to replace a vehicle we already have that gets very little use and is considered not, one of the preferred vehicles by most of the people at PD. So the idea here was, and this has been bantered around before, so I'm just kind of giving the idea. So if the vehicle were to come in, it could be very useful to the detectives. The detectives, when they process a crime scene, they have to take equipment, they have to pick up things, they have to bag things. This would give them shelter when they're doing it at the back of the car. It would allow them to carry more equipment to a place. It would allow them to carry evidence out of a place more easily. And the reason for having that be, say, a new detective's vehicle is then the current black detective's vehicle could then become the chief's car. The chief's car with the manufactured engine would go to the captain. The captain's car, which has a cage, could go for use for the prosecutor who has to transport prisoners. And you would, in effect, for $15,000, have a brand-new vehicle under warranty that's all-wheel drive, that could at some point in time, if it were needed as a front line, could be striped and put into service as a frontline vehicle because it's an interceptor utility.
Left unmarked.
Leave it unmarked like the Expedition.
Well, the idea would, for the detectives, it would be to leave it as it is. So the only thing you would do is move the lights from the Expedition into it. So I just offer this up because there happens to be one available right now, and the trade-ins on the Expeditions are decent right now, but the more mileage we get on it, and the older it gets, obviously we're going to get less money, or we just keep it. But it just happened to be something that I thought, when it was bantered around, I thought that's worth looking at and looking into. We have the ability to do that this year, along with the pad, which the chief and I are going to talk to the board about in terms of where the money was coming from. But there is
We could do both.
budget to do both.
So with the frontline cruises we have now, there's what, 3?
There's the utility, the 4A, and the 3A, the 3B are those
Pseudo ones, yeah.
Pseudo supervisor backup when one of them is down for maintenance.
What would we be looking at to purchase to replace those next year? Or do we have to?
Well, so next year, you would be getting a 5 or a 6A at that point. So you'd continue with your cruiser replacement one a year. So that wouldn't change. So really, all this is really doing is replacing the
gas hog.
obsolete, Expedition. I mean, we've got to put new tires on it. It doesn't have the same equipment profile as the other vehicles. This vehicle is standardized with the rest of it.
And tires are almost $1,000. Well, they are $1,000 because they're bigger than mine. I just put 4 new tires on mine.
And I thought it was interesting, too, because I knew, in looking at the cost of a remanufactured engine, even if it were in the $3,000 range, so that's 20% of what it would cost us to get a vehicle that has full warranty. And now that's not the extended warranty. I didn't price it out with an extended warranty, but it'd be $14,700, give or take 1,000, possibly 1,000 less if Auto Fair, the dealership appraises the vehicle better than what they've given us based on photographs in the VIN.
What's the difference in gas mileage?
Well, it's a 6 versus an 8, so it should be pretty significant.
Actually, it's 13 miles per gallon city, and I think it's 22 highway for the Interceptor.
I'll tell you that the Expedition, the longer we keep it, it will eventually be on details and be getting 0 miles per gallon when it's idling on the side of the road.
It's only getting 12 now, right?
Right. How much does the Interceptor get per miles per hour?
I mean,
One of
miles
the-
per gallon.
Miles per gallon, I mean, I'm sorry.
I looked it up, it says, that's what it was.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
It
you.
was 15 on the highway, 15 around town and 22 on the highway.
Which will be slightly high.
I thought we got more than that.
Well, yeah,
I
but
think
you
it
remember
depends
these
on-
mileage tests are done on stripped cars, aren't they?
Well, no,
mileage
they're
tests
they're
are
on
actually
like a,
Than what you actually get.
they're on a wheel, there's no real load to it.
Stripped down cars so they're lighter?
We have
There
four,
you go.
We'll probably get
5 people
around
all
the same.
talking at the same time.
I wasn't talking.
I know you weren't, but there was 5 other
Tim
people.
was, he picked up for you.
It's kind of hard to nail it down,
only
because
time I
if they
wasn't
stop on the side of the road to run stationary radar, they're parked on the side of the road to deal with the problem. That's not moving, that's not gaining miles per gallon.
Okay.
We probably, if we were just driving nonstop around town without stopping, we'd probably get that 15, 16, but it's not the nature of the game.
Those, if that's from the manufacturers, those are overrated.
Yeah.
I think
If you're in Texas,
utilizing,
a flat road.
being able to utilize this opportunity and then getting rid of the gas hog that we have, or the Expedition,
So we're going to go up from
All
12
about-
miles to the gallon to 16.
which we all thought that we absolutely positively had to have a few years ago, I being one of
Well,
them,
we did, because you didn't know in 2013,
that they were going to come out all-wheel drive. Correct.
Well, and-
Thank you for saving me on that one.
And also, if the Expedition is going to be relegated to detail level, this utility vehicle could be reconfigured for a front. So, and the car that would go to the chief has just under 30,000 miles on it right now. So, and that's a, what, is that a 13?
13, right.
Wait,
It's a
you talking about getting rid
2013.
of the Expedition?
Trading it.
Trading it.
Oh,
You're getting rid of one, John.
So that,
but it's
He's
not on
gaining one,
schedule.
too.
We said absolutely not. This year, we're not going to get more than one car. And I got convinced, okay, we're going to get 2 cars, but we're leasing because of the same price as one. And now what do we got? We're buying 3 cars this year, and we're trading in a car that has, we have no plan. There's been no plan, and it's like, this is on sale, let's go buy it. That's all I see every time. And
Well, this is-
a black detective car is not undercover. I'd rather see, if you look out,
Bright red or
see a whole
something.
bunch of
They have
cars,
undercover.
and you're a criminal, and you see all these different cars, you see a black Interceptor with a push bar and or tinted out windows compared to a white Expedition, which one do you guys think is going to be the guys
They
buying
both
it?
look like cop cars, but.
Yeah.
Get the robin's egg blue like the Maine State Police.
I'd just like to see somebody get a grip on what we're doing for vehicles. How many miles are we going to be driving these vehicles? How many do we really need? And a schedule that we use them, that they're not getting all burnt out. Because what we're doing is we're beating the crap out of the last one in, every single time, and I keep saying it. It's a waste of money.
Well, this
Everybody's
one
gonna drive
coming
this
in, we know we're not going to beat the crap out of it because it's going to be a detective car. So we know we're not going to beat the crap out of this one. It's not going to be a front line. We know that.
Well,
And we're
it's really-
trading it in, we're not,
It's a
Getting rid of
consideration
them.
what do you do with the Expedition? Does it fit? Does it not fit? Is it worth keeping? Is it going to be worthless in a few years?
Is it
That's the issue.
fiscally
The mileage
responsible?
really
Right.
isn't that
Hey,
significant
that was
difference.
the cat's pajamas when we bought it, had to
Well-
get that one, that does fit and everything, and so, what's,
Bought it for 24, I think, when we purchased it.
Yes, and we're going to get, we could potentially get 15 for it now.
They said 15, depending upon the condition.
So we've had it for 3 years? 4.
It's an 11.
$9,000 for 3 years?
We get it in 10.
We've had others for 3 years, and they're in the graveyard now.
it's a good thing we don't buy the DPW trucks, just like, this one's on sale at $130,000 apiece. I mean, technically, we hold the DPW to a vehicle plan. and how you're going to buy them, and an equipment plan, and take care of the stuff, and schedule it right, and make sure the maintenance gets done on everything right. But every year, it's like 2, 3, 4 vehicles, lease, on lease, there's no plan. You guys can vote on it.
I'll make a motion that we
I
go
won't
ahead
vote on another car till I see a real
and
plan.
trade in the Expedition, and we act on this 2016 utility interceptor, which will go to the detectives, and the chief will take the detectives interceptor.
Second.
I have a question.
Yep.
The shuffling the cars about, the 3 suggestions, are we going to have to change any of the lights or anything, or are we just going to shuffle 3 cars around? We don't have to change anything for the one to go to the detectives, or...
We're gonna, if
Tim.
we trade the Expedition in...
Are we getting a black one? Is that what they have?
Well, I know the Expedition,
That
I'm
is
talking
okay.
about, and that would be... Who's getting it? The detectives. Okay, so the chief's car, no, we're putting an engine in it.
The detective's car
Or go to the
currently,
prosecutor, we don't have to change anything, right?
the detectives currently have the interceptor. We need to put the lights from the Expedition into that for the chief.
Right,
That's it.
right, that's all we have to do. We don't have to do anything else to the other vehicles that are getting shuffled.
It's actually the Expedition that can do this.
Right.
Right,
Yeah, that's
I understood that.
The car already
But the
has
other
lights.
cars, we don't, they're, okay.
Set
All
up.
right, I'm good.
Do they fit? The mount for the computer in the back, is that going to be different?
They don't have the same equipment.
They don't need a cage.
They don't need the cage.
But the mount
There's a
for
cage in the...
radios, the mount, cameras, everything?
The camera wouldn't transfer to this one. We would just do...
They don't have a camera. Detectives don't have cameras.
But,
The Expedition
carry-
had one, right?
this would carry their detective
Not in the
like,
car.
camera and, like, still photo camera and, you know.
The Expedition used to have a camera, right?
Yeah, the Expedition, but if we're
And we're trading
trading
it
that,
in, where's that going?
where's the camera gonna go? It's not gonna go into the new one, right?
Not unless you want to pay for it.
No, we were planning to, the plan was to phase those out as, as new vehicles were coming along.
Because they have the,
Right.
Body
I
cameras.
might need those for parts anyway.
Oh, for the other cars? Okay.
oh my God, call the
So any
question.
more on the discussion?
And there won't
Nothing wants
be
to call
any
the
fees
question?
to Ospey Electronics for installing the lights and purchasing new
That's
lights
part
for
of
the
what's
mirrors?
in here.
That's part of it. It's Captain Martin looked at, ballpark of what it would take, and the higher end was 2,700, which is what I...
And that's
So it's
awesome.
12K to replace, to 12,000 for the car. In order to outfit the vehicle, it would require less than 2,700 to remove equipment and put it in, so a total of 14,700.
Providing we get a certain trading value for the Expedition. And they did give us a ballpark that was higher than what I put on here, but based on photographs and the VIN, they would want to see the vehicle in person to go through it and give us a more accurate price. But they listed a $15,000 trade. I've just figured in $1,000 less here.
For the wheels.
Where's
You
the-
buy $1,000 worth of tires.
Where's the money
All
coming
right.
from?
Go ahead.
Selectmen's budget.
Well, we have,
Wages.
when we looked at the pad, where the pad was going to be paid for, and, anything else that need to be done this year, we have significant additions in PD wages.
Why?
Because of,
Well, because we have
Honey and
someone
Nate.
out, we've had people out, we've had replacements,
we had a period of time where we had budgeted for an officer, or we didn't have an officer. So there's about $47,000 of savings between the driving and wages.
All right, I'm going to call a question. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
All right, let the record show.
Catherine, you're for vehicles, but not the officers. I don't figure.
Oh,
What'd you say?
don't push it, please.
What'd you say?
All right, thank you. Thank you, Tim.
So
Appreciate
obviously,
it.
this is based on...
You're
Right.
against the officers, but you're for vehicles.
Yep.
So I take it we can move forward.
How many vehicles are we buying next year, you think?
We'll have to wait. We
3?
have no plan.
4? Yeah, I think we should get Dodges, trade them all in. I don't like Dodges. so
Never been a
I'd rather
plan.
see a Chevy, but,
I would hate Dodgers.
no, I know.
Dodgers
So I
are-
threw that in there.
Yeah, because I told them.
So from him, that's what it's about.
I do have a plan later. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
I just don't get why they have undercover cars that are black.
Yeah, there should be.
They look like, you know, did you hear what happened with the Pope? Some guy took a black Suburban and drove right into the line and followed him out with the whole
Oh, yeah,
guy
because
and
they
all
thought
that.
it was a...
'Cause- Oh, yeah, that guy's, he's got to be a cop.
he's in
He's got to be a
trouble.
cop. Yeah.
Talk to us.
There you go.
I didn't hear what you said. Okay, all right. I'm going to make a motion, we go into non-public, RSA 91A:3, that which discussed in public would adversely affect. I know. I know.
Okay.
Second?
Yes?
Second.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Yes?
Yes.
Treatment.
And we're at the time being 8:59. I would like to seal the minutes of the non-public session as they may tend to adversely affect the reputation of the public.
Pass that down, don't sign it. I don't want you to get mad.
I'm not mad.
No, you will if you sign it.
Yeah, then I would be mad.
It's missing Joe.
Second.
And this is the other one.
All right, all those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, you are, this is the grant.
What am I saying? Yes?
Oh, okay.
That one you want.
What are we voting on?
This is
out of the
the
non-public.
10,000. Oh, we're voting on coming out of sealing the minutes.
Sealing the minutes, aye.
Aye.
Scrutinize.
All right. Sir, downtown businesses, Gabriel's would like to do something bigger and better this year for Halloween. Would you sign that, please?
As in,
Not weed.
They want to close off the street and ask the businesses to start thinking about, see what else, they can have games and activities and things like that.
shouldn't we have discussed this with the police? Closing off the street?
Well,
did.
We did.
Main Street?
It was actually the chief's
The
idea.
chief's idea last week to close off the street.
Yeah, okay, I remember.
So are
John,
we
you
doing
need to-
this on Halloween?
The 31st.
When I talked to,
Friday.
Saturday.
No, it's
when I
going to be
talked to
Friday.
Bill Lawrence,
That's the
Trust me.
30th.
Friday is the
said
day,
that-
right?
you know, it's a nice idea
They're doing
to
it the
detour,
30th, not
close
the
off the
31st.
street. He said, but it attracts a lot of business by having cars going through the street and seeing all the excitement going on.
But it's dangerous for those kids who
Potentially, you got a lot of little
just
children, 3
ran
and
downtown
4-year-olds.
street, they
Main
forget they're in a
Street
road.
businesses
And I
have their
agree.
own Halloween.
And I think
They
they'll see it.
open later, and the kids go down the street from 4 to 6 p.m., and it's actually the same day as Tanger has theirs as well. So they go here, and then they go up there, and they go down one side and up the other. We have a contest for the business owners to dress, and it's the best costume, and then the selectmen judge, we go down at 4 o'clock and judge the different categories, we pick them.
I'm going to sign this.
And we have prizes, and that
This
got-
year, there'll be a kid one, too.
Well, now, this year, hopefully we get a kid one, but
Chief said he'd get the
I've
cars.
already heard business owners say, we've really, because Gabriel's is really,
They go all out.
they go all out,
They all
and
dress
they
up
really
like
want to go.
cobwebs.
All of
Can I have
them
that signature,
participated, they all participated in it.
It's really made a great community event.
That's true.
And
Closing down Route 3 on Friday between 4 and 6 sounds like a potential issue.
it's not really, because they go right up Academy and come down School Street.
It's actually
They
quicker
just
for
reroute
them
it, they
than trying to get through.
We slowed
Right.
the traffic down as all, Joe.
Right.
So we have a speed bump on Academy, so we're all set.
Put that in there.
Well, they have officers directing traffic at either end of the street.
That or
So-
Explorers,
All
yeah.
right, we have,
Take that, Captain.
Tuesday, we need to talk about budgets. Wednesday evening is the Budget Committee. We have all the selectmen, really, if you haven't been there, we'll talk about,
Wednesday evening, I have open house.
okay, it's
What time is it going to?
7 PM. It's Heather,
Okay, I may get it,
okay.
I may be like 7:30 or so.
It would really be important on that one to come,
That's next.
I'll remember.
October
I won't
7th.
sleep through it.
Yeah, all right.
I missed it.
And
Yeah, I'm going to the
I
first.
was on the couch.
Gail has finished an RFP on the,
I remember you said that.
Garbage.
Just
my folder?
spaced it.
on the, no, on the roof for the
Work too
senior center, but there's one area that we need to, asphalt needs to come out, it's metal only, so that option in asphalt. Is it okay for Gail to send out to the other people that we sent out on the roofs prior to this, so we can get that moving?
Please.
I think you should send it to all the roofers.
Yeah, everyone we
It's
can.
probably about, I don't know,
Well, there's 13 or 14 that we sent it out the last time.
it's like 20 of them local,
Yep. Okay?
in
I'll
a 50-mile radius.
I'll show you the part that needs to come out.
It's bonded and whatever.
We put that in,
Can't be fly by night.
Yeah.
We can have Tim put it on the
It's a
website.
long story.
all those
So just
have
the
a
asphalt gap route, we're going to take that whole
sidewalk.
section right out. Then we're fine. Okay, is any other business that comes before us that really has to be said tonight?
It's close to my bedtime.
Well, it's past mine.
But I got a lot of stuff Tuesday night, because it's piling up.
Well, I do have one thing that may or may not interest anybody, but I attended the underground storage tank retraining, recertification, passed with flying colors, and I'm still the owner of the tank.
Nice.
Me personally.
You are a nice guy.
I'm not. I'm the chairman of the UST committee, which is the only reason I'm the owner of the tank.
Now,
That's it.
Cindy made these flyers up for the costume contest and the trick or treat. I'll distribute them downtown business owners. Is everybody okay with that?
You want to send it to the SAU, see if we can get them to send them to the school.
Did we actually take maybe it's just me, but did we actually take a vote to shut down Main Street?
More of a
We said okay.
consensus.
Yeah, we
We just
said
agreed
okay.
it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do, and I'm just curious. So it's a consensus.
Right, we didn't take a vote.
I can live with that.
Complaint, Joey. Well, I never voted.
I don't recall that. Ah, how clever.
We'll save the minutes. So Tuesday is earliest anyone can come is 4:30?
I can be here at about 3:15.
We've got 4 weeks of minutes to catch up with.
I can be here at 3:15.
I'm here, so I can either stay or...
You already sent them out to us, like emails?
I think you have the 14th, but I don't think you have the 17th.
I can make a list, then I
I'm sure
can,
you have them all.
I can go through them, you know,
And we can start right at 4:30 for the...
yeah, you know, a lot of times I'll go through them and,
So it's
in
4:30.
fact, if everybody does that, it'll probably save some time.
Okay.
Make a
Yeah,
little,
you can do that if you're not changing content. So if you're just making grammar.
I would like to make a motion at this time to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, vote with your feet. Aye.
Look at the mess you made.